A group of wealthy, arrogant influencers are filming a viral video, publicly humiliating an innocent lifeguard and labeling him a predator, while the spineless beach manager turns his back just to protect his own skin. They thought they successfully ruined his life with a 14-second lie. But just as they celebrate their victory, karma strikes back with terrifying force. The truth is finally exposed, and the consequences will shatter their perfect lives forever. What really happened at the lake? Watch until the very end to find out. The rule was printed in black letters on a sun-faded sign beside the rental dock, but nobody looked at signs when the lake was bright. They looked at the water, at the blue-green shine of it, at the slow white scrape of paddleboards being dragged over wet sand, at girls in sunglasses laughing beside coolers that cost more than Malcolm Hayes made in a week, at boys with expensive watches pretending not to be drunk before noon, at children running too close to the edge while their parents told them, without looking up, to be careful. Malcolm looked at everything else. He looked at the wind touching the surface from the west. He looked at the orange flag near the boat ramp, hanging limp a minute ago, now lifting in short, nervous jerks. He looked at the rental boards stacked beside the shed, the loose straps, the empty hooks where life jackets were supposed to hang, the way people carried safety equipment only as long as someone official was watching. Then he looked at the group near the shoreline, 5 of them. 4 looked like they belonged to the same summer. Clean skin, expensive towels, mirrored sunglasses, a waterproof speaker the size of a brick. The easy carelessness of people who had never once wondered whether a lost deposit could ruin the month. The 5th did not match. He sat half behind a cooler, knees drawn up, twisting the loose strap of a blue life jacket in both hands. His t-shirt had been washed thin at the collar. His sandals were cheap. His smile arrived late and left early, like he had learned to wait for permission before showing too much of himself. Malcolm adjusted the strap of the rescue kit across his shoulder and started down the sand. The kit was old. The red fabric had been bleached almost pink at the corners. One zipper tab had been replaced with a loop of black cord. On the hard plastic lid, just above the white cross, a small waterproof dinosaur sticker had been pressed crookedly near the handle. A green triceratops, one horn scratched white. The sticker made the kit look less official than it was. Children noticed it, adults smirked at it. Malcolm had never taken it off. He moved past a family setting up a shade tent and nodded to a boy dragging a plastic shovel. The boy stared at the kit, then at the dinosaur, then back at Malcolm's face with the grave concentration children saved for important things. "Cool dinosaur," the boy said. Malcolm gave him a small nod. "Thank you." He kept walking. By the time he reached the paddleboards, 2 of the group had already pushed one board halfway into the shallows. A girl in a white bikini top stood with 1 foot on the board and 1 foot in the water, phone tucked against her hip. A boy in a linen shirt laughed at something she had said. Another girl, dark-haired and sharp-eyed, was scrolling through her phone like the world existed to be searched and corrected. The blonde girl saw Malcolm last. She was standing on a towel that had never touched rough ground before today. Her sunglasses were lowered just enough for him to see her eyes move over his uniform, his boots, his rescue kit, the radio clipped to his shoulder. Not scared, evaluating. Malcolm stopped at a respectful distance. Not too close. Never too close. "Hey folks," he said. His voice stayed even, the way training had taught him and experience had made permanent. "Just a quick safety reminder before you head out. For SUPs, you need to either wear the life jacket or have it strapped to the board. Rangers are checking today, and I don't want you getting fined." The quiet kid moved immediately. "Yeah, okay," he said, standing with the blue life jacket still tangled in his fingers. "That makes sense." The boy in linen looked toward him with a small frown, as if obedience were embarrassing. The girl near the water stepped back and dragged the paddleboard a little higher onto the sand. "Thanks," she said. Not warmly, but not rudely either. "We didn't know. That should have been the end of it. Most things at the lake ended there. A warning, a nod, a small correction. Someone grumbled and complied. Someone thanked him later when the ranger boat passed. But the blonde girl did not move. She lowered her sunglasses the rest of the way. "What?" she said. Malcolm turned slightly toward her. "Life jackets need to be worn or secured to the board. We're not children." "No, ma'am." The word was polite. She heard something else in it. Behind her, the boy in linen gave a short laugh. Malcolm saw the quiet kid's hands tighten around the blue strap. The blonde girl crossed her arms. Her phone was still in one hand. Its case was glossy and pale pink, with a ring light clipped to the back like she had brought a small private sun with her. "Are you telling everyone that?" she asked. "Or just us?" Malcolm glanced down the shoreline. Everyone using boards without visible PFDs. PFDs. The boy in linen repeated, amused. Wow. The dark-haired girl stepped forward with the expression of someone who enjoyed making situations official. Can you show us where that rule is written? Malcolm nodded. Of course. He did not sigh. He did not let his face change. He had learned that people who wanted a reason could turn a breath into one. He reached into the side pocket of his uniform vest and took out a laminated card. The corners were soft from use. The print was small, but the relevant line had been highlighted in yellow. The blonde girl stared at the card but did not lean close enough to read it. That's just something you printed. It's from the State Boating Safety Code, Malcolm said. There's also a sign at the rental dock. The sharp-eyed girl took out her own phone. I want the exact statute. Sure. Malcolm opened the government page on his phone and turned the screen toward her. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The lake filled the silence for them. Small waves tapped the underside of the board. A gull cried once over the snack bar. A child laughed too loudly behind them, then coughed on lake water. The sharp-eyed girl read the screen. Her mouth tightened. The rule was there. That did not solve anything. It only changed the shape of the fight. The blonde girl looked past the phone and back at Malcolm. So you came all the way over here because you were watching us? The quiet kid's head lifted. Claire, he said softly, he's just... Noah, shut up, the boy in linen said, without even looking at him. Noah closed his mouth. The strap in his hands twisted once. Malcolm noticed. He also noticed the board behind Claire shifting with the water, its nose turning slowly away from shore. Nobody else looked at it. To them, it was still a toy, still a photo, still an afternoon. Claire took one step closer. Malcolm did not step back, but he shifted his weight enough to keep space between them. I approached because of the boards, he said. Not because of you. The boy in linen laughed louder this time. He looked at Claire, then at Malcolm, then back at Claire, asking the group's permission to become cruel. Come on, he said. Bro just wanted an excuse to talk to you. The second girl did not laugh, but she did not correct him. The friend near the board looked uncomfortable and began pulling the paddleboard farther onto shore. Noah's eyes moved from Brett to Malcolm. He looked like someone standing at the edge of a doorway, trying to decide whether the room would punish him for entering. Malcolm kept his hands visible, one hand by his side, one hand lightly touching the strap of the rescue kit. The little dinosaur sticker faced outward. Claire saw it and smiled without warmth. Cute kit, she said. Do they give those to everyone, or just the guys who patrol girls at the beach? The sentence was not loud. That made it worse. It carried just far enough for the people under the nearest umbrella to hear. A mother pouring juice into a paper cup slowed her hand. A man pretending to read a paperback stopped turning the page. Two teenagers on a towel looked over, then looked away, then looked back, because looking away had become its own kind of participation. Malcolm felt the change on the sand. A public space could turn so quietly. One moment, he was doing his job. The next, he was something being watched. He lowered his voice. You can wear the life jacket or strap it to the board. That's all I'm asking. Claire lifted her phone. The small ring light clicked on. Noah's face changed before anyone else's did. Claire, don't, he said. She did not look at him. Say that again, she told Malcolm. Malcolm looked at the phone, then at her. I already explained the rule. No. Say why you came over to us. I came over because your boards didn't have visible life jackets. Visible, Brett echoed. He's got a whole script. The dark-haired girl's thumbs moved across her screen, probably recording too, probably preparing notes, probably building a version of the moment that would sound cleaner than the moment itself. Claire held the phone higher. Can I get your name? Malcolm felt the old lesson settle over his shoulders. Not fear. Something colder and more practiced. The knowledge that a camera did not have to lie to ruin a man. It only had to begin recording late. My name is Malcolm Hayes, he said. Park medical response. And your supervisor? Available through the ranger station. So you admit you don't have authority to stop us. I have authority to give safety warnings and call rangers if there's non-compliance. Claire's eyes sharpened. She had found a word she liked. Non-compliance, she repeated into the phone. You hear that? We're just trying to enjoy the lake, and he's calling us non-compliant. Noah took half a step forward. He didn't say it like that, he said. Brett turned on him. Dude, shut up. This time the words hit harder. Not because they were new, because Noah obeyed them like they were old. His shoulders folded inward. The blue life jacket hung from his hand, one frayed strap almost touching the sand. Malcolm saw it. He saw the rich kids. He saw the board. He saw the camera. He saw the family under the umbrella pretending not to watch. He saw the old pattern forming with the patience of weather. Claire smiled at the phone, then at him. "I don't feel comfortable with you standing this close to me." Malcolm had not moved closer. Everyone who had been watching knew that. No one said it. He took one measured step back. "Then I'll give you space," he said. "The rule still applies." For the first time, Claire's smile faltered. Only a little. Enough for Malcolm to know she had expected a different kind of man. Someone louder, someone easier to edit, someone she could point to and say, "See?" But Malcolm only stood there with his faded uniform, his old rescue kit, and the small green dinosaur no one understood yet. The wind lifted again. The orange flag near the ramp snapped once. Malcolm looked past Claire to the water. "You need to secure that board." Claire turned her head, saw the paddleboard drifting a few feet sideways in the shallows, and rolled her eyes, as if the lake itself had joined him in being annoying. Brett stepped toward the board. "Relax. It's right there." "It's moving," Malcolm said. "It's water," Brett said. "That's what water does." A few people laughed. Not many. Just enough. Noah moved before the rest of them did. He reached for the board's leash and pulled it back toward shore. Claire swung the phone toward him. "Noah, stop making this look like he's right." Noah froze. That sentence did more than silence him. It named the rule of the group. Truth did not matter if it helped the wrong person. The dark-haired girl finally looked up from her phone. "I'm recording this too," she said. "For everyone's safety." Malcolm turned his gaze to her. "That's fine." Her expression changed, just a fraction. She had expected objection, anger, a hand raised toward the lens. He gave her none of it. "You can record," he said. "Please don't obstruct access to the boards or the shoreline." Claire laughed into her phone. "He's giving us filming instructions now." "No," Malcolm said. "I'm keeping the shoreline clear." Brett stepped closer, not enough to touch, but enough to test the space Malcolm had left. "Man, you always this intense with girls in bikinis?" The mother under the umbrella looked down into the cup she had already filled. The man with the paperback shut the book around one finger and did not turn a page. The teenagers stopped whispering. Noah's jaw tightened. "Brett," he said. Brett did not turn around. "What?" "That's not what happened." The group went still. Not fully, just enough to show the shape of its power. Claire lowered the phone from Malcolm's face and pointed it at Noah. "What did you just say?" Noah looked at the camera and lost half his courage. "I mean," he swallowed. "He was just telling us about the life jackets." Sienna smiled without kindness. "Noah, you don't have to defend a stranger just because you're scared of getting in trouble." His face reddened. "I'm not." "Then stop helping him." There it was again, helping him, as if truth were a side. Malcolm did not look at Noah too long. He knew what it cost some people to be seen trying to do the right thing, especially when the wrong people had invited them, fed them, driven them here, and could uninvite them from every room after today. Claire swung the phone back toward Malcolm. "Are you hearing this? Your behavior is making multiple people uncomfortable." "One person corrected that," Malcolm said. "And 2 of you started complying before the recording began." Sienna's eyes narrowed. "So now you're tracking our behavior?" "I'm documenting the safety contact." "Oh, good," she said. "Then document this. We feel targeted." Malcolm touched the button on his radio, then stopped. "Not yet." Calling it in too soon would make the story larger before he had to. Not calling it in could make it look like he had hidden the escalation. He chose the middle. He angled his shoulder slightly toward the tower camera mounted above the swim zone sign. Anyone who knew the park knew it recorded the rental shoreline. Most visitors never noticed it. "I'm going to ask one more time," he said. "Wear the life jackets, or secure them to the boards. If you don't want to do that, I'll call a ranger to handle the citation." Claire's voice rose for the first time. "Citation? Are you threatening us?" "No, that sounded like a threat. It's the consequence of not following the rule." Brett gave a theatrical sigh. "This is insane." Sienna lifted her phone higher. "Under what authority are you detaining us?" "You're not detained," Malcolm said. "You're standing on a public shoreline with equipment that isn't ready to go on the water." A small sound came from someone behind him. A laugh, maybe. Or a breath that became one before its owner thought better of it. Claire heard it too. Her face changed. Embarrassment moved through her faster than reason. She stepped around Malcolm, toward the water, toward the board Noah had pulled back. "I'm going to show you something." "Claire," Noah said, "just put on the jacket." She spun on him. "I swear to God, Noah." He went quiet. She grabbed Malcolm's sleeve near the elbow. Not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to move him, hard enough for the people watching to see her hand on him, hard enough for every lesson in Malcolm's body to wake at once. "Look," she snapped, pulling his arm as she pointed down the beach. "What about them? Are you going to go harass them too?" Malcolm's voice changed. It did not become wild. It did not become uncontrolled. It became loud enough that the shoreline could not pretend not to hear it. "Do not touch me." Claire let go, as if his sleeve had burned her. For one clean second, the beach went silent. The speaker by the cooler kept playing, soft and stupid. Somewhere near the snack bar, a child asked, "Mum, what happened?" Claire stared at Malcolm, then she smiled. Not because she was calm, because she had gotten something she could use. She lifted the phone closer to her own face, breath quickening, eyes bright with performance. "You saw that," she said into the camera. "He just yelled at me. I'm literally shaking." Noah looked at Malcolm, then at Claire, then at the phone. "No," he said, more urgently now. "Claire, you grabbed him." Brett stepped between them. "Noah, shut the hell up." The words landed in the sand. This time, Noah did not fold all the way, but he did not speak again. Sienna had already moved into position beside Claire, her phone angled toward Malcolm's chest and badge. "Spell your name again," she said. Malcolm did not answer her immediately. He looked at Claire's hand, now safely back around her phone. He looked at the board, still unsecured. He looked at the family under the umbrella, where the mother had stopped pretending to pour juice and was now watching with her whole face. Then he looked toward the tower camera. "Malcolm Hayes," he said. "Park Medical Response. I am requesting that you do not touch me again. I am also requesting that you either comply with PFD rules or step away from the equipment until a ranger arrives." Claire made a sharp sound that was almost a laugh. "Oh my God, he's trying to make it sound official." "It is official," Malcolm said. That was when Brett took out his own phone, not to record evidence, to join the hunt. "Yo," he said, grinning into the screen. "We got Lake Security losing it because Claire wouldn't give him attention." "I'm not security," Malcolm said. "Exactly," Brett replied. "So why are you acting like a cop?" Noah whispered. "Brett, stop." No one listened. Claire was already tapping her phone with fast, practiced thumbs. Sienna leaned toward her. "Post the part where he yelled. Don't post the whole thing yet." Malcolm heard it. So did Noah. So did the mother under the umbrella. Sienna realized too late that she had said it out loud. For the first time, Malcolm let his eyes settle on her for more than a second. She looked away first. Claire lifted the phone again, but her voice had changed. It was higher now. More urgent, more useful for an audience that had not been there. "This man approached us at the lake," she said, "wouldn't leave us alone, kept asking about our bodies and our life jackets, and then screamed at me when I asked him to back off." Malcolm remained still. The lie did not enter the air all at once. It assembled itself, word by word, approached, wouldn't leave, bodies, screamed, back off. The people nearby had heard enough to know it was not true, but hearing the truth and interrupting a lie were two different kinds of courage. The man with the paperback stood, then sat back down. The mother under the umbrella glanced at her child. Noah's fingers dug into the frayed strap. Malcolm pressed the radio button. "Unit 3 to Ranger Station," he said. Static answered first, then a voice. "Go ahead, Unit 3. I need Ranger assistance at the South Rental shoreline. SUP safety non-compliance. Escalating guest confrontation. Unwanted physical contact. Tower camera should be preserved." Claire's face shifted at the word preserved. Sienna went still. Brett lowered his phone half an inch. Noah exhaled. Malcolm released the radio. He did not look relieved. He looked tired. Claire stepped back, now performing fear from a safer distance. "Did you hear that? He's calling backup on us." "I'm calling Rangers," Malcolm said. "You asked for authority. I asked for your supervisor. The Rangers can contact my supervisor. You don't get to twist this." Malcolm looked at the phone, then at her. "I'm not the one editing." The sentence was quiet. It changed the air more than shouting would have. Claire's lips parted, but nothing came out fast enough. Behind her, Noah looked up. Not with triumph, with recognition. For a moment, the group had no sound ready. Then Brett found one. "You're done, man," he said. "You know that, right? Claire's dad knows half the board." Sienna touched Claire's elbow. "Don't say anything else, just save the videos." Claire ignored her. Her eyes were locked on Malcolm now, and under the anger there was something like panic. The situation had not gone the way she expected. He had not chased her. He had not grabbed the phone. He had not called her names. He had not given her the shape of villain she needed. So she built one out of captions. Her thumb moved quickly. A notification sound chimed, then another. The clip went up before the ranger cart arrived, not the beginning, not Noah saying Malcolm was just warning them, not the law on Malcolm's phone, not Claire's hand closing around his sleeve. Only Malcolm's voice, firm and public, "Do not touch me." The caption appeared beneath it. Park creep harasses girls at lake, then screams when called out. Noah saw it first. His face went pale. "Claire," he said, "take that down." She did not look at him. "Shut up, Noah." The ranger cart turned onto the sand road in the distance, tires crunching over gravel. People began to watch that too. Authority always gave a crowd permission to admit something had happened. Malcolm stood where he was, the rescue kit strap cutting a familiar line across his shoulder, the small green dinosaur facing the lake. The board bumped softly against the shore behind Claire. Once, twice, like the water was knocking. The ranger cart stopped 20 feet from the shoreline. Not too close. Rangers knew, the same way medical responders knew, that space mattered when people were angry. Distance could keep a scene from becoming a fight. Distance could also make everyone feel watched. The cart's tires sank slightly into the soft sand. Ranger Hollis stepped out first, slow and broad-shouldered, with one hand resting near his radio and the other open at his side. He was in his late 50s, maybe older, with a face that had spent too many summers squinting over bright water. Behind him came a younger seasonal ranger named Patel, who looked from Malcolm to the phones to the paddleboards and immediately stopped smiling. Malcolm did not move toward them. He kept his hands visible. Claire noticed that too, and raised her phone a little higher. "Thank God," she called, her voice changing shape as soon as uniformed authority appeared. It became thinner, more wounded, less sharp around the edges. "He's been harassing us." Ranger Hollis looked at her, then at Malcolm. "Hayes? South Rental Shoreline," Malcolm said. "Sup users without PFDs, worn or secured. Courtesy warning escalated. One guest made unwanted physical contact. I requested tower footage be preserved." Claire made a sound of disbelief. "Unwanted physical contact? I was trying to show him something." "You grabbed my sleeve," Malcolm said. "I touched your arm because you were ignoring me." The sentence hung there. Even Brett seemed to hear the problem in it, though not enough to stop. "He was being weird," Brett said. "Like, really weird." Ranger Patel looked at the board behind them. "Where are the life jackets?" Noah lifted the blue one halfway. "I have one," he said. "For yourself?" Patel asked. Noah looked at the others. No one helped him. "I was going to put it on." "You all need one worn or attached to the board," Patel said. Claire laughed once, short and bitter. "So you're just going to ignore the fact that he yelled at me?" Hollis's eyes moved toward Malcolm again. "Did you raise your voice?" "Yes," Malcolm said. "After she grabbed my arm, I told her not to touch me." Claire turned her phone toward Hollis. "I have it on video." "From the beginning?" Hollis asked. Claire's mouth closed. It closed only for a second, but a second was long enough. Sienna stepped in before the silence could make a shape. "We have multiple recordings. We also have a right to document public employees." "You can record in public areas," Hollis said. "You cannot obstruct staff, interfere with a safety contact, or put hands on personnel." "I didn't put hands on anyone," Claire said. Noah looked down at the life jacket strap in his hand. The frayed end had twisted around his finger until the skin beneath it whitened. Malcolm saw it and looked away. Not because Noah did not matter, because looking at him too long might turn him into the next target. The mother under the umbrella had stood up now. Her paper cup sat forgotten on the sand. The paperback man had put his book away. The teenagers watched openly. A few people farther down the beach had started drifting closer, pretending to look for towels, pretending to check coolers, pretending not to gather around someone else's trouble. The lake had a way of making crowds without admitting it. Hollis pointed toward the rental rack. "For now, step away from the boards." Claire's face tightened. "Are we being removed?" "Right now you're being asked to step away from equipment until I know what happened." "I know what happened," she said. "I'm going to find out what happened," Hollis said. There was no anger in it. That made it harder to argue with. Brett still tried. "Dude, this is insane. He came over to us." "Because of the PFDs," Patel said. "He came over to them," Brett said, nodding toward Claire and the other girl. "Don't act like that's not obvious." Malcolm felt the sentence land where Brett wanted it to land. Not on the law, not on the board, on him, on his body standing near theirs, on the old lie that a man like him could not correct a woman like Claire without wanting something from her. Hollis did not respond immediately. He looked at Malcolm's rescue kit, then at the tower camera above the swim zone sign. His gaze passed over the little dinosaur sticker without stopping. "Not yet." Everyone involved stays here until statements are taken, Hollis said. Claire's eyes widened. We have to stay? You called for authority, Malcolm said quietly. She snapped her head toward him. Do not talk to me. Hollis lifted one hand. Enough. The words settled over the group. For the first time, Claire stopped performing long enough for real frustration to show through. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Then her expression changed, not softened, brightened. The clip had started moving. You could see it in the way her thumb hovered over the screen, in the way Brett leaned closer, in the way Sienna tried not to look too pleased. Noah saw it too. He looked at his own phone, then at Claire's. Did you already post it? He asked. Claire ignored him. Noah, he said, voice smaller. Claire, did you post it? Why do you care? Brett said. Because it's not the whole thing. Brett stepped closer to him. I swear, if you make this awkward, it is awkward, Noah said. That surprised everyone, including Noah. The sentence had come out too cleanly to take back. Claire turned slowly. Excuse me? Noah looked at Malcolm for half a second. Then he looked away. I just mean maybe wait until they check the camera. Sienna gave him a look that could have cut ribbon. Noah, this is exactly why people don't invite you places. The words did not sound shouted. They sounded practiced. That was worse. Noah's face changed like someone had opened a door to a room he had been hiding. Brett smirked. The girl in the white bikini looked at the sand. Malcolm said nothing. He wanted to. That was the danger. Sometimes the words that felt most necessary were the ones the room was waiting to punish. So he let Ranger Hollis handle the scene. Hollis took down names. Claire gave hers, with the clipped confidence of someone used to names opening doors. Claire Voss, Brett Langford, Sienna Vale, Tara Whitcomb, Noah Reyes. Noah's last name landed differently in the group. Not because anyone said anything, because Brett almost smiled, because Sienna's eyes flicked to him, because Claire had to ask him how to spell it, though they had driven here in the same car. Malcolm noticed. He did not write it down. He remembered. When Hollis asked for Malcolm's account, Malcolm gave it the way he wrote incident notes: time, location, safety concern, verbal warning, request for compliance, escalation, filming, physical contact, boundary statement, ranger request. He did not say Claire had humiliated him. He did not say Brett had tried to make him dirty. He did not say the crowd had begun to look at him like a story they had already heard before. He only said what could survive paperwork. That was another old lesson. Pain did not belong in the first report. Facts did. Claire watched him speak with open irritation. He's making himself sound calm, she said. Patel glanced at her. Was he not calm? Claire hesitated. Brett answered for her. He had a tone. Hollis looked up from the notepad. A tone. Yeah, Brett said. Like aggressive. Malcolm heard the word. So did the mother under the umbrella. She looked at Malcolm then, really looked at him, and something uneasy moved across her face. Not pity, not courage. Recognition, maybe. The uncomfortable kind people had when they realized they were watching an old script act itself out in real time. Her child tugged at her shirt. Mum, the boy whispered, not quietly enough. Why did she grab him if she was scared? The mother put one hand on his shoulder. No answer came. Claire heard the question. Her cheeks flushed. Can you please keep your kid out of this? She snapped. The mother's eyes lifted. A small thing happened then. Not dramatic, not enough to change the scene, but enough to matter. The mother moved her child behind her and did not look away from Claire. Noah saw that too. He swallowed. By the time the initial statements were finished, the clip had been shared hundreds of times. By the time the group was told to leave the boards alone and wait near the ranger station for further review, it had been posted to 3 local pages. By the time Malcolm returned to the medical office to file his incident report, someone had already tagged the park's official account. The clip was 14 seconds long. It began with Malcolm's voice already raised. Do not touch me. Then Claire, breathless and wide-eyed, turning the camera toward herself. He just screamed at me. Then a shaky glimpse of Malcolm in uniform, standing still, face controlled, hands visible. To someone who had been there, the stillness proved restraint. To someone who had not, it looked cold. The caption did the rest. Park creep harasses girls at lake, then screams when called out. Another account reposted it with a different caption. Why is this man allowed to approach women at the beach? A third one added music. That was the version that moved fastest. Music always helped people stop thinking. In the medical office, the air conditioner rattled over the filing cabinet and failed to cool the room. Malcolm sat at the small desk beside the supply shelf, still in uniform, rescue kit on the floor by his chair. Sand had collected in the seams of his boots. His radio clicked now and then with ordinary park noise, ordinary injury calls, ordinary lost towels and bee stings, and warnings about parking. The world had not stopped. That was one of the crueler things about being publicly accused. Everything else continued. He opened the incident form. Date, time, location. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Then again. He did not look at it. He wrote, observed 5 guests preparing to use stand-up paddleboards without personal flotation devices worn or attached. His phone buzzed again. On the 4th buzz, he turned it face down on the desk. The rescue kit sat by his boot, the dinosaur sticker tilted toward him. A green triceratops, 1 scratched horn. Last summer, a boy with blue lips and trembling hands had pressed that sticker onto the kit while sitting under a foil blanket. His father had been kneeling in the wet sand beside him, one arm around the boy's shoulders, unable to stop saying thank you. The boy had not said much. He had only asked if the dinosaur could guard the medicine. Malcolm had said yes. He had not meant forever. But forever had a way of beginning in moments nobody else recognized. A knock came at the open door. Malcolm looked up. Ranger Patel stood there, holding a tablet. Director Shaw wants you in the admin office when you're done. Malcolm nodded. I'm not done. Patel's eyes moved to the phone turned face down on the desk. It's spreading. I know. Comments are bad. I assumed. Patel shifted his weight. He was young enough to still believe sympathy needed somewhere to go. Hollis asked Tower Control to save the footage. Good. And the rental shed camera, if it caught anything. Good. Patel did not leave. Malcolm waited. Finally, the ranger said, I saw her hand on your sleeve. Malcolm looked at him. Patel swallowed. I mean, from where I was when we pulled up. I didn't see the beginning, but I saw enough. Put it in your statement. I will. Then, that's what matters. Patel nodded, but he looked unsatisfied, as if Malcolm should have accepted comfort more visibly. People often wanted gratitude for believing the obvious. Malcolm gave him a quieter thing instead. Thank you. Patel left. Malcolm finished the report. He wrote the words carefully. Not beautifully. Not emotionally. Carefully. Guest stated she felt uncomfortable after being informed of PFD rule. He paused over the next line. The sentence was true. It was not complete. He added, Guest statement occurred after she was shown written regulation, and after another member of her party began complying. That mattered. Sequence mattered. People who wanted to distort a scene always attacked the sequence first. His phone buzzed again. This time, the screen lit before it went dark. His younger sister's name appeared, Maya. Malcolm closed his eyes for 1 second. Not long. Long enough. Then he answered. Hey, what happened? Maya asked. No hello, no warm-up. Her voice was tight and scared in the way people sounded when the internet reached them before family did. Malcolm, why is there a video of you? I'm handling it. That's not an answer. I know. They're calling you. She stopped herself. He heard her breathing. They're saying things. I know what they're saying. Are you okay? He looked at the incident form. At the rescue kit. At the dinosaur sticker. I'm at work. That's also not an answer. A little silence opened between them. Maya was 22, and still knew when he was hiding behind duty. She had learned that before she learned to drive. Did you do anything? She asked. The question was small, not doubtful, afraid. That was what made it hurt. Malcolm softened his voice. No, she exhaled. Okay. Only then did he hear the tremble under her relief. The park has cameras, he said. There were witnesses. I filed the report. People don't wait for reports. I know. What if your certification board sees it? What if your job? I said I'm handling it. The words came out sharper than he meant. On the other end, Maya went quiet. Malcolm rubbed one hand over his face. I'm sorry, he said. I just don't want them doing that thing, she said. He did not ask what thing. They both knew. That thing where a man became a headline before anyone asked what happened. That thing where fear in someone else's voice became evidence. That thing where his calmness looked suspicious and his anger looked criminal and his silence looked like guilt. I know, he said. The admin office door opened down the hall. Director Lena Shaw's voice carried, low and controlled, followed by Ranger Hollis's slower one. Another phone rang. Someone said, local press, and then lowered their voice. Malcolm stood. I have to go. Malcolm. Yeah? Don't let them make you apologize for being touched. He looked down at his sleeve. There was no mark on the fabric. That would matter to someone later. It did not matter to his body. I won't, he said. But after he hung up, he stood for another moment before picking up the rescue kit. In the admin office, the video was playing on Director Shaw's laptop without sound. That somehow made it worse. Malcolm watched his own mouth form the words, "Do not touch me." Then he watched Claire's face turn toward the camera, wide-eyed and wounded. Without sound, she looked almost convincing. Director Shaw paused the clip. She was a woman in her 40s, with immaculate posture and tired eyes. Her blouse was the color of clean paper. On the wall behind her were framed photos of the lake at sunset, the annual youth fishing program, a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the new kayak dock, and a donor plaque with names Malcolm recognized from buildings, businesses, and reserved parking spaces. Claire Voss's last name was on that wall, not first, but there. Ranger Hollis stood by the file cabinet with his arms folded. Patel sat near the door. The park communications coordinator, a woman named Elise, hovered with a phone in each hand. Shaw looked at Malcolm. "I need your full statement. I filed the incident report. I need you to walk me through it. I can. And I need to know whether there is any prior contact with this guest. No. Any conversation before today? No. Any reason she might believe you singled her out?" Malcolm did not answer immediately. Not because he did not know, because the question had entered the room wearing professional clothes. Hollis looked at Shaw. "Lena, I have to ask," Shaw said. "No," Malcolm said. "There is no reason." Shaw nodded, but her face did not settle. Elise glanced at one of her phones. "The post is at 12,000 views." Nobody spoke for a moment. Outside the admin window, the lake glittered through the trees as if it had nothing to do with any of this. Shaw folded her hands. "We have to be careful." Malcolm looked at her. He had heard those words before. Not always from her, not always in offices, but always before someone asked the person with less power to absorb more harm for the sake of the institution. "Careful how?" he asked. "With public response," Shaw said. "With tone, with process. My tone is in the report. I'm talking about the park's tone. The park didn't get grabbed." Patel looked down. Elise stopped moving her thumbs. Hollis did not smile, but something shifted around his eyes. Shaw took the sentence without flinching. That was one thing Malcolm respected about her. She could hear a hard truth. The trouble was what she did after hearing it. "I understand," she said. He waited. She continued. "Until we review all footage, I don't want you making any public comments. I wasn't planning to. No posts, no replies, no contacting the guests. I know procedure. And no further shoreline enforcement today." The room changed. Hollis straightened. Patel looked up. Malcolm said nothing. Shaw's expression tightened. "Temporarily. Because of the video," Malcolm said. "Because we need to prevent further escalation. By removing me from the shoreline. By moving you to medical station coverage until we complete review." The sentence was polished. It was also the same shape as punishment. Hollis said, "He did the contact by the book. I'm not saying he didn't. Then don't pull him for doing it." Shaw's phone rang. She looked at the screen, did not answer, silenced it. On the wall behind her, the donor plaque caught the afternoon light. Malcolm saw the Voss name again. He wondered if Shaw knew he had seen it. Of course she did. That was why neither of them mentioned it. Elise cleared her throat. "The comments are asking if he still works here." Maya's voice echoed in Malcolm's head. "People don't wait for reports." Shaw closed the laptop halfway, as if reducing the video's brightness could reduce the thing itself. "Malcolm," she said, softer now, "this is not a disciplinary action." He believed that she wanted that to be true. He also knew wanting was not policy. "What do you need from me?" he asked. For the first time, Shaw looked tired enough to be honest. "Stay visible in the medical office. Finish your documentation. Let us get the footage. And if the footage shows what happened, then we address it." "How?" Nobody answered quickly. That was the answer. Malcolm nodded once. He picked up the rescue kit. As he turned to leave, Hollis's gaze dropped to the old plastic lid, to the scratched green dinosaur. Something moved across the ranger's face. Not recognition. Not yet. A disturbance under the surface. "Hayes," Hollis said. Malcolm stopped. "That sticker been on there a while?" Malcolm's hand tightened on the kit handle. "A while." Hollis looked as if he wanted to ask more, then thought better of it. "Keep the kit with you," he said instead. "I always do." Malcolm left the office. Outside, the hallway smelled faintly of sunscreen, copier toner, and wet towels. Through the open back door, he could hear the lake crowd, thinner now, stretched by distance. Laughter, a whistle, the scrape of a cooler wheel over concrete. His phone buzzed again. He did not look. At the far end of the hall, Noah Reyes stood alone beside the vending machine. The blue life jacket was still in his hands. His rich friends were nowhere near him. For a second, neither of them spoke. Noah looked younger indoors. Away from the sun and the group and the performance of belonging, he looked like a kid who had been invited somewhere expensive and made to pay for it in silence. "I didn't know she posted it," Noah said. Malcolm said nothing. Noah twisted the strap. "I told her to take it down." Malcolm kept his voice level. "I heard. She won't. I know." Noah looked toward the admin office, then back at Malcolm. "It's not the whole thing. No. I should have said more." The hallway held the words. Malcolm could have agreed. He did not. "You can still tell the truth in your statement," he said. Noah's face tightened. "They'll hate me." Malcolm looked at the life jacket in his hands, at the frayed strap, at the fingers wrapped around it like a rope. "Maybe," he said. Noah let out a small laugh with no humor in it. "That's supposed to help?" "No." Malcolm shifted the rescue kit higher in his hand. "I'm not going to lie to you." Noah looked down. From the admin office, Claire's voice rose suddenly, muffled by the door. "I don't feel safe with him still here." Noah closed his eyes. There it was again. The phrase that had started as protection and become a weapon. Malcolm did not move. Noah opened his eyes. For one brief moment, the boy looked at the closed door, as if he finally understood that silence was not neutral. It had weight. It leaned somewhere. It protected someone. Then the door opened. Claire stepped out first, phone in hand, face arranged again for the world. Brett followed, smirking until he saw Malcolm. Sienna came last, already typing. Claire saw Noah standing near Malcolm. Her expression hardened. "Seriously?" she said. Noah's fingers tightened around the strap. He did not answer. Brett laughed under his breath. "Unbelievable." Sienna looked at Noah with quiet warning. "Don't make this worse." Noah swallowed. For a moment, Malcolm thought the boy might speak. Then Claire's phone buzzed, and she smiled at whatever number had just climbed higher. The chance passed. "Come on," she said to the group. "My dad's calling the director." They walked out through the side door, back toward the parking lot and the bright, indifferent lake. Noah followed last. At the threshold, he stopped. He looked back at Malcolm. Not long, not bravely, but not with nothing. Then he stepped outside. Malcolm stood alone in the hallway with the rescue kit in his hand and the whole internet learning the wrong version of his voice. Behind him, the admin office phone began ringing again. This time, nobody let it go to voicemail. Malcolm did not check the comments until his shift ended. That was not discipline. It was survival. There were still bee stings to treat, 2 missing children who turned out to be at the ice cream stand, 1 old man with chest pain that became indigestion after 15 careful minutes, and a teenager who sliced her heel open on a broken bottle someone had buried in the sand because taking trash to a bin had apparently been too much labor for one afternoon. The park continued to be a park. Radios clicked. Children cried. Someone burned hot dogs on a portable grill where charcoal fires were not allowed. A golden retriever stole half a sandwich and became, for 6 minutes, the most wanted creature on the East picnic lawn. Malcolm moved through all of it with the rescue kit across his shoulder. People still waved him over when they needed bandages. People still asked him where the bathrooms were. People still expected his hands to be steady. That was the strange mercy of ordinary work. It did not ask whether your name had become a caption. It only handed you another small emergency and waited to see if you could do your job. So Malcolm did. He cleaned the teenager's heel and told her father where the nearest urgent care was. He gave the old man water and waited with him until his breathing settled. He found one missing child behind the snow cone truck and did not mention that the child's mother had been looking at her phone when the boy wandered off. He did not say all the things people gave him chances to say. By 6:30, the sun had dropped behind the tree line and turned the lake copper. The crowd thinned in layers. Families left first, dragging coolers and damp towels. Then the older couples. Then the teenagers who had no intention of leaving until a ranger made eye contact. The rental dock closed. Boards were stacked. Life jackets were counted badly, then counted again. The south shoreline looked almost peaceful. That annoyed him. Some places knew how to hide what had happened on them. Malcolm signed out at the medical office, logged his equipment, wiped down the rescue kit, and checked the zipper that always caught near the corner. Sand fell from the bottom seam in a small, pale line. He brushed it into his palm and dropped it in the trash. The dinosaur sticker stayed where it was. Green body. White scratch across one horn. One edge beginning to lift. He pressed that edge down with his thumb. For a moment, the office was quiet, except for the failing air conditioner and the low buzz of fluorescent light. His phone lay face down beside the incident binder. It had stopped buzzing. That was worse. A phone that buzzed meant the world was still arriving. A quiet phone meant it had already settled in. Malcolm turned it over. 38 missed calls, most from Maya, 2 from his mother, 1 from an unknown number, more texts than he wanted to count. He opened Maya's first. Call me. Then, don't read the comments. Then, I'm serious. Don't. Then, Mum saw it. Malcolm stood very still. The office light hummed overhead. He looked at the message long enough for the letters to stop being letters and become weight. Mum saw it. He called Maya. She answered before the first ring finished. Did you read them? No. Good. Is Mum okay? Silence. That was an answer. But Maya gave him another one anyway. She says she's okay. Malcolm closed his eyes. Their mother had a way of saying she was okay that meant everyone else had failed to prevent her from worrying. She had raised 2 children on night shifts and bus routes, and the kind of exhaustion that made people polite, because anger cost too much energy. She did not frighten easily, but she frightened quietly. That was worse. I'm coming home, Malcolm said. Are they making you come in tomorrow? I'm scheduled. That's not what I asked. He picked up his keys from the desk. They haven't told me not to. Malcolm, I filed the report. Tower footage is being preserved. Patel saw part of it. Hollis knows procedure. And the director? He did not answer fast enough. Maya gave a small, humorless laugh. Right. She's trying to manage it. She's trying to manage you. Malcolm looked toward the closed admin office door down the hall. Through the glass, he could see Director Shaw still inside, phone to her ear, one hand pressed against the bridge of her nose. Elise stood beside her with a tablet. Ranger Hollis had his back to the wall, arms folded, not speaking. Even from here, Malcolm could see the shape of the institution, trying to decide how much truth it could afford. I'll be home soon, he said. Don't stop anywhere. I won't. And don't talk to strangers if they recognize you. He almost smiled. Almost. That your professional advice? That's my sister advice. I'll take it. He hung up, clipped the rescue kit shut, and turned off the medical office light. In the employee locker room, somebody had left wet socks on the bench. Someone else had taped a cartoon frog to the schedule board with the words, "Drink water or die dry," written above it. The small fan in the corner rattled as if it had been assembled by a committee that hated air movement. Malcolm opened his locker. Inside were 2 uniforms, 1 spare pair of socks, a cracked travel mug, a folded grocery receipt, and a white envelope tucked behind the first aid recertification notice. The notice had been there for 3 weeks. Renewal fee due. By August 15th. He had read it so many times the words no longer felt printed. They felt personal. He moved the notice aside and took out the envelope. It was soft at the folds. No return address. Just his name, written in careful block letters. M.R. Hayes. Inside was a card, with a blue cartoon whale on the front. A child had drawn extra water around it in green marker. Inside, someone had written "thank you" in adult handwriting. Then below it, in uneven pencil, "Thank you for helping me breathe again." The name at the bottom was only 3 letters. Leo. Malcolm did not read the card every day. He was not that kind of sentimental, but he never threw it away. That was different. He slid the card back into the envelope and tucked it behind the recertification notice. Then he changed out of his uniform shirt and into a plain gray t-shirt, folded the uniform carefully, and set it in his bag. On the way out, he passed the bulletin board by the employee exit. A new paper had been pinned there sometime during the afternoon. Temporary media guidance for staff. Do not engage with online comments. Do not identify guests involved in active incidents. Do not make personal statements on behalf of the park. Forward all press inquiries to administration. There was nothing on the page about what to do when the online comments identified you. There was nothing on the page about what to do when the guest had already named your face before the park had named the truth. Malcolm read the notice once. Then he pushed open the back door and stepped into the cooling evening. The employee lot was half empty. His car sat under a maple tree, old enough that the paint on the hood had faded in uneven clouds. The driver's side window needed help going up in damp weather. The back seat held a collapsed laundry basket, a spare pair of work boots, and a grocery bag with 2 cans of soup he had bought on sale before his shift. He put the rescue kit on the passenger seat. The dinosaur sticker faced upward in the dusk. His phone buzzed again. This time it was his mother. He sat in the driver's seat before answering. "Hey, Ma." For a few seconds, all he heard was the sound of her television turned low in the background. Then she said, "You ate today?" That was the first question. Not because she did not care about the video, because food was the language she trusted before fear. "Yes." "A real meal?" Close enough. That means no. It means close enough. She sighed. He could picture her at the kitchen table, one hand around a mug of tea gone cold, house slippers tucked under the chair, hair wrapped for the night, though she would not sleep for hours. Maya showed me, she said. I know. She didn't want to. I know. I asked. He rubbed his thumb along the steering wheel, where the vinyl had split. I'm sorry you had to see it. His mother was quiet. Then she said, Did you do your job? Yes. Did you put your hands on that girl? No. Did you talk to her wrong? The question did not hurt because she doubted him. It hurt because she knew the world would ask it. No? Then come home. I'm on my way. Malcolm. Yes, ma'am. Her voice softened, and that made it harder. You remember what your father used to say? He looked through the windshield at the lake beyond the trees, almost dark now. Which thing? Don't give people extra rope when they're already trying to tie you. He breathed once through his nose. I remember. Good. Then don't get online. I won't. And don't go explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. He leaned his head back against the seat. The old car smelled faintly of vinyl, antiseptic wipes, and lake sand. Yes, ma'am. After he hung up, he sat there a little longer. A truck rolled past toward the exit. Somewhere near the maintenance shed, two seasonal workers laughed over something that had nothing to do with him. A mosquito tapped against the inside of the windshield. Malcolm picked up the rescue kit from the passenger seat and looked at the sticker. You still guarding the medicine? He murmured. The Triceratops said nothing. That was its best quality. On the drive home, he passed the public boat ramp where the asphalt cracked near the drainage ditch. He passed the bait shop with the hand-painted sign. He passed the row of lake houses with private docks and lights already glowing in wide kitchen windows. A group of teenagers stood beside a black SUV at the scenic overlook, all of them bent over one phone. One of them looked up as Malcolm's car passed. Then another. Malcolm kept driving. The apartment he shared with Maya and their mother sat above a closed tax office and a nail salon in a strip of older brick buildings, 15 minutes from the park. The stairs smelled like cooking oil and rain even when it had not rained. Someone's bicycle was chained to the railing on the second landing. Someone else had left a package outside the wrong door. Their door opened before he reached it. Maya stood there in sweatpants and an oversized college sweatshirt, her hair pulled back badly, arms folded. She looked him over first. Face, hands, shoulders, as if checking for injuries nobody had reported. Then she stepped aside. Mum made rice. Their mother called from the kitchen, and chicken. Maya added quietly. She overcooked it because she was mad. I heard that, their mother said. You were supposed to. The apartment was small and warm. A box fan sat in the living room window. The couch sagged in the middle. On the coffee table were 3 folded bills, a bottle of blood pressure medication, a church bulletin, and Maya's laptop, open to a paused video with the screen turned almost all the way down. Not almost enough. Malcolm saw his own face reflected in the black glass. Maya noticed and shut the laptop, too quickly. Their mother came out of the kitchen wiping her hands on a dish towel. Denise Hayes was not tall, but she had the kind of presence that made height irrelevant. Her hair was pulled back, silver at the temples. Her eyes went to the rescue kit in Malcolm's hand. You brought that inside? Didn't want to leave it in the car. Good. She said it like the kit was a person who deserved not to sleep outside. Then she looked at him. For one moment, her face almost broke. It did not. She crossed the room and touched his cheek with the back of her fingers, the way she had when he was a boy coming home from school pretending nobody had said anything to him. You're too thin, she said. I'm the same size I was this morning, and you were too thin this morning. Maya snorted from behind him. The sound helped. Not enough, but some. They ate at the kitchen table. Rice, overcooked chicken, green beans with too much pepper. Maya talked too fast about a customer at the pharmacy who tried to use a coupon from 2017. Denise corrected her. Maya argued. Malcolm listened. For almost 6 minutes, nobody mentioned the video. Then Maya's phone lit up on the table. She flipped it over. Denise saw. So, their mother said, placing her fork down. What happens now? Malcolm swallowed. They review the footage, take statements, decide whether the complaint has merit. Merit, Maya repeated. That word is doing a lot. Denise looked at her daughter. Maya lifted both hands. I'm just saying. Malcolm set his fork down too. It's process. Process protected you yet? Maya asked. Maya, Denise said. No, I'm asking. Because process sure moved fast when that girl posted his face. The kitchen went quiet. Outside, a bus sighed at the stop below their window. Malcolm looked at his sister. She was angry in the way young people were angry when they had not yet learned how many walls anger could injure them against. He envied it sometimes. He feared it more. "I need the process," he said. "Why? Because if I step outside it, that becomes the story." Maya opened her mouth, closed it. Denise nodded once, slowly, because she understood before Maya wanted to. Malcolm continued. "If I post, I'm defensive. If I get mad, I'm aggressive. If I call her a liar, I'm attacking. If I say nothing, I'm hiding. So I'm going to give them facts they have to file." Maya stared at the table. "That's exhausting." "Yes." She looked up. For the first time that night, her eyes were wet. "I hate that you know exactly how to do this." Malcolm did not have an answer. His mother reached across the table and touched Maya's wrist. That was how the house survived hard things. Not by solving them, by putting one hand somewhere steady. After dinner, Malcolm washed the dishes even though both of them told him not to. He needed a task with water that stayed where it was supposed to. Plate, sponge, rinse, rack. The ordinary order of small things. Maya sat at the counter with her laptop closed in front of her. She deleted some comments, she said. Malcolm kept washing. Claire, or someone did. The worst ones got removed after people started tagging the park. That doesn't mean anything. I know. Water ran over his hands. Maya hesitated. There are also people asking why the video starts where it starts. He looked at her then. She shrugged. Not enough. But some. Some. It was a small word. Small words could keep people breathing. A knock came from the apartment door. All three of them froze. Not because knocks were rare. Because after a day like that, every sound arrived with a question behind it. Maya stood first. Malcolm dried his hands and moved ahead of her. Stay back. She rolled her eyes, but she did. He looked through the peephole. A man in a park polo stood in the hallway, cap in both hands, shifting his weight. Ranger Patel. Malcolm opened the door. Patel looked embarrassed to be there. That made Malcolm trust him more than confidence would have. Sorry, Patel said. I know you're off. What happened? Nothing new. I mean, yes, but not bad. He glanced past Malcolm, then back. Can we talk for 1 second? Malcolm stepped into the hallway and pulled the door almost closed behind him. The building's overhead light flickered once. Patel lowered his voice. Hollis got tower footage copied before admin locked everything down. Malcolm watched him. Why are you telling me? Because I thought you should know it exists in more than one place. That sentence mattered. It mattered enough that Malcolm said nothing for a few seconds. Patel rushed to fill the silence. Not leaked, not anything like that. Official backup. Time-stamped. Chain of custody. Hollis is careful. I know Hollis. Yeah. Patel nodded. He also said the rental shed angle caught her hand on your sleeve. The hallway seemed to still. From inside the apartment, Malcolm heard Maya asking their mother where the extra dish towel was. Their mother answered. The normal sound of home pressed softly against the door behind him. Patel continued. The audio isn't perfect, but it catches someone saying not to post the whole thing. Sienna, Malcolm said. Maybe. I can't confirm until transcription. But it's there. It's there. Malcolm nodded. He should have felt relief. He felt inventory. Footage. Audio. Witness. Report. Sequence. Pieces strong enough to hold weight. Maybe. Patel looked down at his cap. Also, Director Shaw wants you in early tomorrow. For what? Meeting with admin. Hollis. Maybe legal. Maybe communications. Am I suspended? No. Patel answered too fast, then corrected himself. Not that I heard. That's different. Yeah. They stood in the narrow hallway with the old carpet and the flickering light. Patel finally said, I'm sorry this is happening. Malcolm looked at him. He believed the apology. He also knew belief did not make it useful. Put everything you saw in writing, Malcolm said. I did. Add the part where Claire's group had no PFDs secured. I did. Add the part where Noah tried to correct them. Patel looked up. You saw that? I heard enough. Patel nodded slowly. Okay. And don't soften the language because it makes the report cleaner. The young ranger's face changed. That had landed. I won't, he said. After Patel left, Malcolm stood in the hallway a moment longer. Then he went back inside. Maya was standing just on the other side of the door, pretending she had not been listening. Denise was behind her, not pretending at all. Well? Maya asked. Footage exists. Her shoulders dropped. Denise closed her eyes and whispered something too low for him to hear. Malcolm set the rescue kit on the small table by the door. The dinosaur sticker caught the yellow apartment light. Maya noticed it. "You ever going to tell me why you kept that thing?" Malcolm looked at the kit, then at his sister. "Not tonight." She studied his face and, for once, did not push. Later, after Denise went to bed and Maya finally stopped refreshing things she should not have been reading, Malcolm sat alone in the living room with the lights off. The city outside the window moved in small, tired sounds. A bus braking, a car door, someone laughing too loudly below, pipes ticking in the wall. His phone lay on the coffee table. The screen lit once. A message from an unknown number. He did not open it at first. Then he did. It was only one sentence. "I know she lied, but I don't know if I can say that." No name. Malcolm stared at it. He did not need a name. He looked at the rescue kit by the door, at the little green dinosaur. Then he typed back, "Tell the truth officially. Not to me." He waited. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. Malcolm set the phone down. Outside, somewhere far beyond the brick buildings and the bus stop and the dark storefront glass, the lake was lying still under the moon, as if it had never carried anyone under, never reflected a lie, never waited for morning to decide what kind of truth people were brave enough to tell beside it. Movement 4. The complaint becomes official. By morning, the lake had already been edited. The real lake was still there, pale under a thin veil of mist, with dock cleats dark from dew and gulls picking at something near the trash bins. The real lake smelled of algae, wet rope, sunscreen left on benches, and old wood warming slowly under the sun. The real lake had rules posted at 3 entrances, life jackets hanging from metal hooks, and a tower camera pointed at the south rental shoreline. But online, the lake had become 14 seconds. 14 seconds of Malcolm's voice. 14 seconds of Claire's face. 14 seconds without the rule, without the warning, without the hand on his sleeve. 14 seconds was all some people needed to decide what kind of man he was. Malcolm arrived 40 minutes early. The employee lot was almost empty. A maintenance truck idled near the shed. Someone had left a rake leaning against the fence. The morning shift had not yet begun, but the park already had the strange alertness of a place bracing for weather. He sat in his car for a moment before getting out. Not because he was afraid to go inside, because the last quiet place in the day sometimes deserved to be used. His rescue kit sat on the passenger seat. The green dinosaur sticker looked brighter in the morning light than it had any right to look. He picked up the kit. The handle was familiar in his hand. That helped. Inside the administration building, the hallway smelled like burnt coffee and printer heat. A temporary sign had been taped beside the front desk. All media inquiries to park administration. The paper was crooked. Someone had tried to tape it in a hurry. Malcolm passed the medical office without going in. The door to the conference room was open. Voices moved inside it, low and tight. Director Shaw sat at the far end of the table with a laptop open in front of her. Elise, the communications coordinator, was beside her, pale from lack of sleep and holding 2 phones. Ranger Hollis stood by the window. Patel sat near the wall with a notepad balanced on his knee. There was one empty chair at the table. There was another chair set slightly away from it. Malcolm noticed that first. The chair placement. Institutions spoke before people did. He entered and stood beside the chair at the table. Director Shaw looked up. "Malcolm, thank you for coming in early." He nodded. No one told him which chair to take, so he took the one at the table. Hollis looked at the window. Not a smile. Almost. Shaw folded her hands. "Before we begin, I want to be clear. This is a fact-finding meeting, not a disciplinary hearing." Malcolm set the rescue kit on the floor beside his chair. The plastic bottom touched tile with a soft knock. "Understood." Elise glanced at the kit. Her eyes paused briefly on the dinosaur sticker, then moved away. To her, it was still just a sticker. Shaw looked at her laptop. "As of this morning, the initial video has passed 200,000 views across reposts." Nobody reacted. There were numbers that felt too large to be useful. Elise added, "The park has received 73 emails, 16 voicemail complaints, and several direct messages asking whether staff training includes guest harassment prevention." "Guest harassment prevention," Hollis repeated. His voice was flat enough to be dangerous. Shaw did not look at him. "Those are the words being used publicly." "They're not facts," Hollis said. "They are public perception." "That's not the same thing." "No," Shaw said. "But it can become operational reality if we mishandle it." Malcolm watched the exchange without moving. He had learned there were rooms where people argued about you in front of you, as if politeness made it less violent. Shaw turned to him. "We have the tower footage." Malcolm waited. "We also have rental shed footage," she continued. However, the audio from both is limited. The image confirms some sequence, but we need formal statements. From everyone? Malcolm asked. Yes. Good. Elise's phone buzzed. She looked down and winced. Shaw saw it. What? Claire Voss's father is here. Hollis's jaw tightened. Patel stopped writing. Malcolm looked toward the closed conference room door. Of course he was here. Power rarely sent only the child. It sent the family name behind her. Shaw inhaled slowly. Who else? Claire, Sienna Vale, Brett Langford, Tara Whitcomb, Noah Reyes, and Mr. Voss. Any attorney? Not formally? Sienna keeps saying her mother is one. Hollis muttered. That'll help. Shaw ignored that too. Bring them to the waiting area. Not in here yet. Elise left. The room became quiet enough for the fluorescent light to be heard. Shaw looked back at Malcolm. Local police will also be present. That was new. Malcolm did not let it show on his face. Why? The complaint uses language that requires outside review. Meaning? Shaw's mouth tightened. Harassment. Intimidation. Racially or sexually motivated targeting. Hollis turned from the window. That's ridiculous. Malcolm looked at him then. The word sounded good. It was not protection. Shaw said, I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying it is now in the complaint. Malcolm felt his body receive the information before his mind did. Not a flinch. A closing. Something behind the ribs locking into place. He rested both hands on the table. Open palms. Visible. Even here. Even now. Am I being accused of a crime? He asked. No, Shaw said quickly. Hollis answered at the same time. Not by us. Those were different answers. Malcolm heard both. Before anyone could soften them, the front door opened somewhere down the hall. Voices entered with the brightness of people who expected space to make room for them. Claire's voice came first. Not loud, controlled, wounded enough for witnesses. I just don't understand why he's still working today. A man answered her, deeper, impatient. Let me handle it. Brett laughed under his breath. Someone else said, Noah, don't wander off. Then a quieter voice. I'm not. Malcolm looked toward the door. He could not see Noah from the conference room, but he could picture him. Life jacket strap no longer in his hands, maybe, but something else taking its place. Hoodie strings, phone case, his own fingers. Shaw stood. We're going to do this carefully. Hollis looked at Malcolm. You want union representation? I'm seasonal medical response, Malcolm said. No union. The sentence sat there. No one liked it. No one corrected it. A knock came. Elise opened the door part way. Officer Mercer is here. At the name, Hollis looked up. Daniel Mercer? Yes. Something unreadable moved across Hollis's face. Malcolm noticed. Shaw said, Send him in. Officer Daniel Mercer entered with the calm of someone who had spent years walking into rooms where everyone wanted him to confirm their version first. He was in uniform, early 40s, broad through the shoulders, with tired eyes and a neatly trimmed beard. He carried a small notepad, though Malcolm guessed he remembered more than he wrote. His gaze moved around the room once. Director, ranger, responder, phones, laptop, rescue kit on the floor. He stopped at Malcolm's face a fraction longer than he stopped at anyone else's. Not recognition, a tug beneath it. Then he looked away. Morning, Mercer said. Shaw introduced everyone. When she said Malcolm's name, Mercer's eyes returned to him. Malcolm Hayes? Yes, sir. Mercer studied him for one more second. Then the professional mask settled back into place. I'm here to take statements and review whether the complaint requires further action, he said. Understood, Malcolm said. Mercer sat across from him. The chair slightly away from the table remained empty. No one mentioned it. Elise brought Claire in first. She entered like someone approaching a stage she had rehearsed overnight. Her hair was tied back now. No sunglasses, no bikini top. A pale blue sweater instead, soft and expensive, sleeves pulled halfway over her hands. She had dressed for being believed. Her father came in behind her. Richard Voss was not loud. He did not need to be. He wore a linen jacket, a watch with no shine because real money rarely glittered, and the expression of a man who had already decided this meeting was an inconvenience caused by someone beneath procedure. Claire sat in the empty chair slightly away from the table. Her father remained standing. Mercer noticed that too. Mr. Voss, Shaw said, we'll need statements from the involved parties individually. I'm here to support my daughter. You can wait outside during formal questioning. Claire touched his sleeve. Dad. Richard Voss looked at Mercer. Is she being questioned as a suspect? Mercer's face did not change. She's giving a statement as a complainant and involved party. Then I'll stay until she asks me not to. Shaw opened her mouth. Mercer spoke first. She's an adult. She can request your presence. She can also ask for a pause at any time. Claire nodded quickly. I want him here. Mercer wrote that down. The pen made a small sound against paper. For the next 10 minutes, Claire told the story she had spent all night improving. Malcolm listened. He did not interrupt when she said he had approached aggressively. He did not interrupt when she said he had kept looking at them. He did not interrupt when she said she had felt trapped, though she had been standing on an open shoreline with 3 exits and 2 friends already pulling the boards back. He did not interrupt when she said he had focused on their bodies under the excuse of life jackets. At that, Patel's pen stopped moving. Hollis looked at the table. Director Shaw closed her eyes for half a second. Malcolm kept his hands open. Mercer wrote. Only when Claire said, "Then he got in my space," did Malcolm look up. Mercer noticed. "You'll have a chance to respond," the officer said. Malcolm nodded once. Claire continued. "I tried to show him that other people were breaking the same rule, and he screamed at me." "Did you touch him?" Mercer asked. Claire blinked. "I was pointing. That wasn't my question." Richard Voss shifted behind her. "Officer, my daughter was upset." "I understand," Mercer said. "Did you touch Mr. Hayes?" Claire looked at the table. Her nails were pale pink, perfectly shaped. "I may have touched his sleeve while gesturing." "Did you pull him?" "No." Malcolm heard Noah's voice from yesterday. "Claire, you grabbed him." Mercer wrote again. "Did he touch you?" "No." "Did he block you from leaving?" "He made it feel like we couldn't leave." "Did he tell you that you could not leave?" Claire hesitated. Sienna would have answered better. Claire was not Sienna. "He said he would call rangers." "After what?" "After we asked him to leave us alone." Mercer looked at her. "After the life jacket warning?" Claire's mouth tightened. "Yes." The sequence reappeared. Small, unwanted, alive. Richard Voss stepped in. "The issue is not whether there was some technical rule. The issue is how a male employee approached young women in swimwear and made them feel unsafe." There it was, packaged, polished, ready for public consumption. Malcolm looked at him. "Not long enough." Mercer's pen paused. "The issue is what happened." Richard smiled thinly. "Those are not separate." "No," Mercer said. "But one comes before the other." Claire looked at her father. For the first time, uncertainty moved across her face. Not guilt, fear that the room was not arranging itself properly. When Claire's statement ended, Mercer asked her to wait outside. Richard objected. Mercer did not raise his voice. "Your daughter has given her statement. Other involved parties need to give theirs without influence." "Including him?" Richard asked, looking at Malcolm. "Including everyone," Mercer said. Richard held his gaze for a moment, then touched Claire's shoulder. They left together. The room exhaled after the door closed. No one meant to. They did it anyway. Sienna came next. She sat straighter than Claire and spoke cleaner. She used words like proximity, discomfort, escalating tone, perceived threat, inconsistent enforcement, gendered interaction, and pattern of behavior. She did not say life jacket unless Mercer asked her directly. Then she said personal flotation device with the faint irritation of someone forced to acknowledge the physical world. "Did Mr. Hayes show you the written rule?" Mercer asked. "Yes." "Was the rule valid?" "I'm not qualified to determine that." "You looked it up." "I looked up a page he showed us." "Was it a government page?" Sienna's jaw worked once. "Yes." "Did any member of your group begin complying before the recording?" She looked at the door. "Yes, but that doesn't negate." "Who?" Tara moved one board. "And Noah Reyes?" "He had a life jacket." "Was he wearing it?" "No." "Was he holding it?" "Yes," Mercer wrote. Sienna's polished language began to narrow. That was the thing about facts. They were blunt instruments, but they could cut through silk if someone pressed hard enough. "Did Claire Voss touch Mr. Hayes?" Mercer asked. Sienna adjusted her sleeve. "I didn't see it clearly." Hollis shifted by the window. Patel looked down. Mercer glanced at Sienna's phone on the table. "Were you recording?" "Yes." "Will you provide the full recording?" "I need to ask my mother." Mercer's expression remained neutral. "You can choose not to provide personal footage voluntarily. The park's cameras will be reviewed regardless." Sienna did not like that. She liked documents she could control. Cameras mounted too high to flatter anyone were a different problem. Brett came in after her and tried charm first. He called Mercer sir too many times. He said Malcolm had been giving weird energy. He said Claire was obviously scared. He said Noah was confused and kind of anxious in general, as if discrediting Noah early might save them trouble later. Mercer let him talk. Then he asked, "Did you make a comment suggesting Mr. Hayes approached because he was attracted to Ms. Voss?" Brett laughed. "No one else did. I mean, it was a joke. Did you make it?" "I don't remember exactly. Tower footage may have audio from nearby witnesses." Brett's smile thinned. "Maybe. Did you say anything similar more than once?" "It was a tense situation." "That's not an answer." Brett looked toward Hollis, then Shaw, then back to Mercer. "Yeah," he said finally. "Maybe." Mercer wrote down maybe, as if it were heavier than yes. Tara Whitcomb was the shortest statement. She had been the girl near the board. She had complied first. She did not want to be involved. That was visible before she said it. "He told us about the rule," she said. "I started pulling the board in." "Did he behave inappropriately toward you?" Mercer asked. Tara looked at the closed door. "No." The word was quiet, but it was the first clean one that morning. "Did you feel targeted?" She picked at a loose thread on her shorts. "I felt embarrassed," she said. "That's not the same thing." Malcolm looked down at the table. Not at her. He did not want to make her courage more expensive by noticing it too much. Mercer nodded. "Thank you." Tara stood too quickly and left. Then came Noah. He entered with both hands in the front pocket of his hoodie, though the morning was already warm. He looked like he had slept badly, or not at all. His eyes went first to Malcolm, then to the floor, then to the chair. "Noah Reyes?" Mercer asked. "Yes, sir." "You understand you're giving a formal statement?" Noah nodded. "Use words, please." "Yes, sir." He sat. The chair seemed too large for him. Through the conference room wall, faintly, Claire's voice rose in the hallway. Noah heard it. Everyone did. Mercer leaned back slightly. "Take your time." That kindness almost broke him. Noah swallowed. "I don't want to get anyone in trouble." "Noah," Hollis said, not unkindly. "Someone already tried to get someone in trouble." The boy's eyes flicked to Malcolm again. Malcolm said nothing. Noah looked at Mercer. "He told us about the life jackets." "Mr. Hayes?" "Yes." "Before or after recording began?" "Before," Mercer wrote. "Did he approach aggressively?" Noah rubbed his thumb over one knuckle. "No." "Did he make comments about anyone's body?" "No." "Did anyone in your group make comments suggesting that?" Noah closed his eyes for a second. The room waited. Before he could answer, the conference room door opened. Claire stood there. She was not supposed to. Her father was behind her, and Sienna just beyond him. "Noah," Claire said, voice bright with warning. "You don't have to say anything you're not sure about." Mercer stood. The chair legs scraped the floor. "Ms. Voss, step outside. I'm just saying he gets nervous and misremembers things." "Noah," Richard Voss added, smoother. "No one wants to make this harder for you." Noah's face went grey. There were sentences that sounded like concern, until you looked at who benefited from them. Malcolm's hands curled once under the table, then opened again. Mercer moved to the door. "Out. Now." Claire looked startled, not because of the order, because it had been given to her. Hollis stepped forward. "You can wait in the lobby, or you can wait outside the building." Richard Voss looked at Shaw. "Director." Shaw's face had gone cold. "The lobby," she said. "Now." The door closed again. Noah stared at it. The boy's breathing had changed. Mercer returned to his seat but did not sit right away. "Noah," he said, "do you want to continue now, or do you need a minute?" Noah looked at his hands. "I need a minute," Mercer nodded. "Take one." No one spoke. Outside the window, a maintenance worker in a neon vest walked past, carrying a stack of folded life jackets. One slipped from the top and fell onto the grass. He stopped, picked it up, shook it once, and kept walking. Noah watched him through the glass. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower. "Brett made the joke," he said. Mercer sat. "What joke?" "That Malcolm came over because of Claire, because she was in a bikini. That he wanted her number. Stuff like that." "Before or after Claire began recording?" "Before," Mercer wrote. Noah's hands trembled now, but he kept speaking. And Claire grabbed his sleeve. She said she was trying to show him other people, but she pulled him. He told her not to touch him. That's the part she posted. The room stayed very still. For a moment, the whole morning changed. Then Noah looked at the door again. His courage faltered as quickly as it had come. "But I don't want to be, like, the reason everyone—" "You are not responsible for what they did," Mercer said. Noah nodded, but he did not look convinced. Sienna's voice came from the hallway, muffled but sharp. "This is insane." Noah flinched. That was enough for Malcolm. He had kept quiet through Claire, through Richard Voss, through Sienna's clean vocabulary and Brett's jokes. But this was different. Not because Noah needed him to rescue him, because someone had to name the shape of the room. "Officer," Malcolm said. Mercer looked at him. Malcolm kept his voice even. "Can his remaining statement be taken separately from the group?" Noah looked at him. Mercer nodded. "Yes." Richard Voss's voice rose outside the room. "Absolutely not. He came with us." Hollis opened the door before Mercer could. "He leaves with whoever he chooses," Hollis said into the hallway. Silence followed. Then Richard Voss. "Lower now. Noah, think carefully." Noah shut his eyes. Malcolm knew that tone. Not that man. That tone. The one people used when they did not have to threaten, because the threat was already built into the world around them. Mercer stood again. "That's enough!" He opened the door fully. The lobby beyond it looked arranged around the Voss family's displeasure. Claire stood near the bulletin board, arms crossed. Sienna held her phone at her side, but not down. Brett leaned against the wall, trying to look bored and failing. Tara sat alone on a bench, face pale. Richard Voss stood closest to the conference room. Too close. Mercer stepped into the doorway. "Mr. Voss, if you interfere with another witness statement again, I'll ask you to leave the building." Richard looked at him for a long second, then smiled. "Of course, officer." The smile did not reach his eyes. Mercer closed the door. Noah was shaking now. Not dramatically, just enough. Malcolm looked away from him and toward the table. He knew what humiliation felt like when people watched it too closely. Noah whispered, "I don't have another ride." Patel looked up. Hollis said, "We'll get you one." Noah nodded. It was a small nod, almost nothing, but it was the first thing that belonged to him all morning. The rest of the statement took 15 minutes. Noah confirmed the sequence. He confirmed Malcolm's wording as best he could. He confirmed Claire had been embarrassed before she had been afraid. He confirmed Sienna had told Claire not to post the whole thing. He confirmed Brett had pushed the sexual joke. He confirmed Tara had started complying. He did not become brave all at once. He kept stopping. He kept looking at the door, but he kept going. When it was done, Mercer read the summary back to him. Noah listened with his eyes on the table. Then he signed. His signature looked younger than the rest of him. After Noah left through the side door with Patel, the room remained quiet. Director Shaw looked at the signed statement as if it were a document and an accusation at the same time. Hollis said, "That should be enough to pull the public response together." Elise nodded quickly. "We can say the park is reviewing full footage and that preliminary information does not support the viral caption." "No," Shaw said. Everyone looked at her. She rubbed one hand over her forehead. "Not yet." Hollis stared. "Lena, we have a donor family involved, a harassment complaint, a staff member named online, and footage still being reviewed for release protocol. We do not rush a statement." Malcolm felt tired suddenly, not sleepy, older. Mercer looked at Shaw. "You have enough to know the caption is misleading." "Yes," she said, "I do. And I also know that public statements create liability." Hollis's voice hardened. So does silence. Shaw's jaw tightened. The sentence hit because it was true. Malcolm stood. Every head turned toward him. "Am I clear to return to duty?" he asked. Shaw looked pained. "Malcolm, that's a yes or no question." Mercer watched him carefully. Shaw said, "Medical station only. No shoreline enforcement until this is resolved." Hollis said, "That's still pulling him. It is a temporary operational assignment. It's retaliation wearing a clean shirt." Patel was not in the room to hear it. Malcolm wished he had been, not for himself, for the report he might write someday about the difference between policy and courage. Shaw's face flushed. "Ranger Hollis, enough." "No," Malcolm said. Everyone went still. He had not raised his voice. That was why it worked. "No," he repeated, quieter. "Let him finish." Shaw looked at him. So did Hollis. Malcolm did not sit back down. "You asked me yesterday to enforce safety," he said. "The rule did not change because someone posted my face. If I did something wrong, say that. If I didn't, don't make the correction look like discipline and call it temporary." No one spoke. The room did what rooms do when truth enters without shouting. It checked the walls, it checked the floor. It looked for someone else to answer first. Mercer's eyes moved to the rescue kit at Malcolm's feet. The green dinosaur sticker faced upward. This time, his gaze stayed there. Longer. Something passed through his face. A line appearing underwater. He looked back at Malcolm. "Mr. Hayes," he said slowly, "were you working North Dock last August?" Hollis turned his head. Director Shaw looked up. Malcolm's hand tightened around the strap of the rescue kit. "Not much. Enough." "Yes," he said. Mercer's voice changed, but only slightly. During the Mercer rescue, the room seemed to lose sound around the edges. Malcolm looked at him for the first time, not as an officer taking a complaint, but as a father trying not to remember too much at once. Before he could answer, Claire's voice cut through the hallway. "My dad wants a copy of the report." The moment broke. Mercer looked toward the door, then back at Malcolm. The question remained unfinished between them. Shaw stood. "We'll pause here." "No," Mercer said. It was the first time his voice carried command. Everyone stopped. He looked at Malcolm again. But whatever he had begun to recognize was not ready to become public yet. Not in this room. Not with Claire outside the door. Not with the park still deciding how much truth it could afford. Mercer closed his notebook. "For now," he said, "I want the full tower footage. The rental shed angle, Mr. Reyes's signed statement, Ranger Patel's statement, and Mr. Hayes's incident report preserved under one file." Shaw nodded. "Of course. And I want it done before anyone leaves this building." Claire's father said something in the hallway. No one answered him. Malcolm looked down at the rescue kit. The dinosaur sticker was still there. Guarding the medicine. Guarding something else now. Mercer stood. "Mr. Hayes," he said, formal again, "do not discuss last August with anyone until I've reviewed the file." Malcolm understood what he meant. "Do not let them turn that into performance too." "Yes, sir." Mercer left the room. Through the glass, Malcolm watched the officer step into the hallway. Claire began talking immediately, phone in hand, father beside her, Sienna listening for legal weakness, Brett watching for entertainment. Mercer did not look at any of them first. He looked back once, not at Malcolm's face, at the rescue kit. Then he walked toward the records office, and for the first time since the clip went online, the room seemed afraid of the truth for a different reason. Not because it might be unclear, because it might be bigger than anyone had prepared for. Noah Reyes did not leave with the people who brought him. That was the first real thing he did all day. It did not look brave from the outside. It looked like a boy standing near the side entrance of the administration building with his hands in his hoodie pocket, staring at the gravel lot while the black SUV idled 20 yards away. The lake glittered behind the trees. The morning had sharpened. Heat lifted off the hood of the cars in faint waves. Claire stood beside the SUV with her arms crossed. Brett leaned against the passenger door, sunglasses back on, performing boredom for nobody who believed it. Sienna was typing. Tara sat in the back seat with the door open and her knees turned toward the grass, looking smaller than she had looked on the beach. Richard Voss stood apart from all of them, phone against his ear, saying very little and making every word sound like a decision someone else would have to obey. Noah stayed by the side entrance. Ranger Patel stood near him, not close enough to crowd him, not far enough to abandon him. "You don't have to go with them," Patel said. Noah nodded. He did not move. The problem was not understanding that he had a choice. The problem was what choices cost when you had never had many. Claire lifted her hand. "Noah, come on." He looked at her. Brett called, "Dude, don't be dramatic." That was rich people language for obedience. Noah had learned it over 2 years of being included just enough to be useful. Dramatic meant he had noticed something he was supposed to ignore. Sensitive meant someone with more money had hurt him and wanted the story to be about his reaction. Awkward meant truth had entered a room without permission. He took one step toward the SUV. Patel did not stop him. That almost made Noah stop himself. Claire smiled as if the matter had been corrected. "There we go," Brett said. "Finally." Noah looked at the open rear door. At Tara, who would not meet his eyes. At the empty middle seat where he had sat that morning between a cooler and Brett's beach bag, knees pressed together so he did not touch anyone's expensive things. Then, he looked back toward the administration building. Through the glass, he could see Malcolm Hayes standing in the conference room beside the table, rescue kit at his feet, shoulders square but not hard. Officer Mercer was gone from the room now. Director Shaw was speaking. Ranger Hollis was listening with his jaw set. Malcolm was not looking at Noah. That helped. If Malcolm had looked like he needed him, Noah might have collapsed under it. Instead, Malcolm looked like a man who had spent his life knowing other people might fail him and had still chosen not to become careless. "Noah," Claire said, sharper now. He stopped halfway between the building and the SUV. "I need to get my own ride," he said. The sentence barely carried across the lot, but it carried. Brett took his sunglasses off. "What?" "I need to get my own ride." Sienna finally looked up from her phone. "That's stupid. We're all going back to the house." "I'm not." Claire's face changed first. Not anger. Disbelief. As if the chair had spoken. "Are you serious right now?" Noah's fingers closed around the phone in his pocket. It was old. The corner of the screen had a spiderweb crack under the protector. He had bought it used from a guy at work who upgraded every year and called that normal. I already gave my statement, he said. You gave a confused statement, Sienna said. They pressured you. Nobody laughed. That was how Noah knew she had moved from insult to strategy. They didn't pressure me. Claire stepped forward. We all heard him yelling at me. After you grabbed him. Claire's mouth opened, then closed. For a moment, her face was naked with rage. Brett pushed away from the SUV. Bro, what is wrong with you? Noah looked at him. 100 answers came up. None made it out. Richard Voss ended his call and turned. The lot seemed to reorganize around him. Even the rangers near the front entrance looked over, then looked away. Money did that. It gave gravity to people who had not earned weight. Noah, Richard said. His tone was almost kind. You're upset. That's understandable. But be careful about making statements that can have consequences. Noah felt Patel move slightly beside him, not forward, just present. Noah swallowed. I told them what happened. Richard smiled. It was not a large smile. You told them what you think happened under stress. I wasn't stressed until Claire started recording. Claire made a sharp sound. Oh my God. Sienna stepped in. Noah, listen to yourself. You're repeating his framing. I'm repeating what happened. You don't know what happened, Brett snapped. You were sitting behind the cooler half the time. I was holding the life jacket. Congrats. And he told us to wear them before anyone filmed anything. Brett looked toward Claire. He's seriously doing this? Claire's eyes had gone bright again, not with tears this time, with calculation. You know, she said slowly, it's actually really hurtful that you'd take the side of some random guy over your friends. Friends? The word landed where it was supposed to. Noah looked at Tara. She looked down. He looked at Sienna. Her face said friendship was a contract he had already violated. He looked at Brett. Brett looked annoyed that the entertainment had become work. Then Noah looked at Claire. She had invited him to the lake because her parents' house had enough rooms that one more person could be absorbed without being considered. She had let him sit at her family's fire pit. She had posted pictures where he appeared at the edge, half-cropped. A scholarship kid turned aesthetic proof that their world was generous. She had called him sweet when he helped carry coolers. She had called him intense when he disagreed. She had told him to shut up so often that the words had stopped sounding like an event and started sounding like his name. You're not my friends when you need me to lie, he said. The sentence surprised him. It surprised Claire more. Her face hardened in a way that made her look less polished and more like what she was. A young woman who had never had to wonder whether the room would still hold her if she told the truth badly. Richard Voss stepped forward. All right. That's enough. Patel spoke then. Sir, he already said he's arranging another ride. Richard glanced at him with mild irritation, the way people looked at signs they did not plan to obey. This is a private matter. It's happening on park property after an active witness statement, Patel said. His voice wavered only once. So no, not entirely. Noah looked at him. Patel did not look back. He kept his eyes on Richard Voss, because courage sometimes worked better when it did not check whether anyone appreciated it. Claire laughed under her breath. This place is unbelievable. Brett opened the SUV door. Whatever, man, walk home. They got in. Tara hesitated. For 1 second, she looked like she might step out. Then Sienna said, Tara. The door closed. The SUV pulled away too fast for a park lot, tires spitting gravel behind it. Noah stood in the dust it left. Only after it turned toward the main road did his body begin to shake. Patel looked at him. You okay? Noah laughed once. It had no humor and no shape. No. Do you have someone to call? Noah nodded, then shook his head, then nodded again because the truth was complicated. My mum's at work. Where? The hotel off Route 8. Patel waited. Noah looked embarrassed before he answered the question not asked. She cleans rooms there. There was nothing shameful in the sentence. That was why it sounded like shame. Patel only nodded. We can call you a cab. I don't have... The park can arrange it, Patel said. Noah looked toward the administration building. Is that allowed? Patel gave a small shrug. I'll find a form later. For the first time all morning, Noah almost smiled. Almost. Then his phone buzzed. He took it out. The screen was cracked, but the message was clear. Claire, you need to fix what you said. Then another. Sienna, don't answer more questions without talking to us first. You misunderstood the legal situation. Then Brett. Brett, enjoy being a hero loser. Lol. Noah turned the phone so Patel could see. Patel's expression changed. Don't delete those. Noah looked at the messages. More came. Claire again. Claire, My dad says false statements can get people in serious trouble. Sienna. Also, if this affects my internship rec, I swear to God. Brett. Snitch behavior, Ava. Noah's hand tightened around the phone. The old instinct rose. Apologize. Smooth it over. Say he was confused. Say he did not mean it. Say anything that would get him back into the car, back into the edges of the photographs, back into the warm, borrowed glow of people who could afford to be careless. Then another message appeared. Tara. Tara, I'm sorry. Noah stared at that one longer than the rest. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Nothing came. Patel said quietly. Noah. He looked up. You should show those to Officer Mercer. Noah's stomach turned. I already gave the statement. This is part of it now. Noah looked at the administration building, then at the lake. The water was bright. It looked harmless. He had thought that yesterday too. Inside the building, Malcolm sat alone in the medical office because Director Shaw had moved him off the shoreline without calling it discipline. The medical office was too small for waiting. The walls were lined with supplies in labeled bins: gauze, gloves, cold packs, saline, tape, burn cream, instant glucose. A laminated CPR chart hung beside the cabinet. The desk was barely large enough for the radio base, the incident binder, and the rescue kit. Malcolm sat with his hands folded and listened to the park continue without him. On the radio, a ranger called in a parking dispute near Lot C. A child needed a bandage at the playground. Someone reported a loose dog near the East Trail. At the shoreline, other staff were doing the warnings now. 2-person teams. Hollis had made that happen quietly before Shaw had approved it loudly. Malcolm could hear the difference over the radio. A ranger and a responder. A ranger and rental staff. Clearer commands. Less courtesy language. Less room for someone to decide that safety was personal. He should have been relieved. Instead, he felt the shape of his absence. A responder could be necessary enough to use and risky enough to hide. The door opened. Ranger Hollis stepped in without knocking, carrying 2 paper cups of coffee. He set one on the desk in front of Malcolm. You drink it black, right? No. Hollis looked at the cup. Well, today you do. Malcolm took it. The coffee smelled burned. That was how he knew it came from administration. Hollis lowered himself into the chair by the supply shelf. The chair complained. For a few seconds, neither man spoke. Hollis looked at the rescue kit, at the dinosaur sticker. This time, he did not look away quickly. You know Mercer? He asked. Not personally. He seemed to know something. Malcolm's fingers rested around the coffee cup. Maybe. Hollis waited. Malcolm did not fill the silence. The ranger nodded once, accepting the boundary. They're pulling the August file. Malcolm looked up then. Why? Mercer requested it. The air in the room shifted. Last August had lived in Malcolm's memory, in Leo's card, in the sticker on the kit, in an official report written so cleanly, it had almost erased the sound of the boy coughing water onto the dock. He had not hidden it. He had not advertised it either. Some rescues were not stories to tell at cookouts. They were moments when the world almost lost a child and then did not. The not losing was enough, until it wasn't. Hollis took a slow drink of coffee and winced. God, that's terrible. You brought it. I didn't say I was proud. A small silence. Then Hollis said, Voss is pushing hard. I assumed. His family funds half the summer youth program. I saw the plaque. Of course you did. Malcolm looked at him. Hollis shrugged. You notice things. That was the closest he had come to praise. It landed better than praise would have. Hollis leaned forward, elbows on knees. Listen to me. Shaw is not your enemy. Malcolm said nothing. She's not, Hollis repeated. But she's scared of the wrong things right now. That can look the same from where I'm sitting. Hollis accepted that with a grim nod. She needs a reason to be brave that fits in a file. Malcolm looked toward the window. Outside, the top of the lake flashed between tree branches. Truth isn't enough? The old ranger's face did something tired. It should be. The answer was honest. That made it worse. Before Malcolm could reply, Patel appeared in the doorway. Noah Reyes is asking to speak with Officer Mercer again. Hollis stood. Why? Patel looked at Malcolm, then at Hollis. He has messages. Malcolm set the coffee down. Hollis said, From the group? Patel nodded. Looks like pressure. Maybe witness intimidation, maybe not. Mercer will know what to call it. Where's Noah? Side room. Where's Mercer? Records office, with August file. Hollis glanced at Malcolm. The name of the month sat between them. Malcolm did not move. Hollis said, Stay here. Malcolm looked at him. The ranger corrected himself. Please. That word helped. Not enough to fix anything. Enough to show he knew what he was asking. Malcolm stayed. In the side room, Noah sat at a folding table, with his cracked phone placed in front of him like evidence and confession both. Officer Mercer came in with a file folder under one arm. He looked different than he had in the conference room. Not less professional, more contained. As if he had opened a door in himself and was holding it shut until the right moment. Patel stood near the wall. Hollis came in behind him. Noah looked at the file, then at Mercer's face. Am I in trouble? Mercer set the folder down but did not open it. No, because they're saying I made false statements. Did you? No. Then we'll deal with the messages as messages. Noah pushed the phone toward him. His hands were unsteady. Mercer did not touch the phone immediately. Do I have your permission to review these? Yes. And to document them? Noah hesitated. There it was again. The edge. The cost. Yes, he said, quieter. Mercer picked up the phone. He read without reacting. That was a skill too. Claire's messages, Sienna's, Brett's, Tara's small apologies sitting among them like a flower in broken glass. Mercer took photographs with a department device, each one time-stamped, each one logged. He asked Noah to scroll. Noah did. More messages appeared in the group chat, some from last night. Sienna, don't post the first part. It shows the law thing. Brett, post him yelling lol Claire. I'm making it about him being creepy BC. That's what it felt like. Sienna, say uncomfortable, not creepy. It sounds more official. Brett, nah, creep gets clicks. Tara, guys maybe don't. Claire, Tara stop. Noah, this is wrong. Brett, Noah shut up challenge. Mercer stopped scrolling. The room was so quiet, the old vent in the ceiling seemed loud. Patel looked at the floor. Hollis stared at the wall, as if anger needed somewhere flat to go. Noah's face was red now, but he did not reach for the phone. Mercer read the messages again. Then he looked at Noah. Why didn't you show this earlier? Noah's mouth moved before sound came. I wanted them to still take me home. The sentence was so small it made the room larger. No one spoke over it. No one softened it. No one rescued him from what it revealed. That he was not just afraid of losing friends. He was afraid of being stranded. Literally, socially, financially. All the ways richer people never had to separate. Mercer nodded once. Not approval. Understanding. Thank you for showing me now. Noah stared at the table. I should have done it before. Maybe, Mercer said. Noah looked up, startled by the honesty. Mercer continued. But doing the right thing late is still different from not doing it. Noah swallowed. That sentence would stay with him. Not because it forgave everything. Because it did not. The door opened behind them. Elise stood there, breathless. Sorry. Director Shaw needs Officer Mercer. Mr. Voss is asking whether Noah is being held against his will. Noah's eyes widened. Hollis muttered something under his breath. Mercer closed the folder. He is not. Elise looked at Noah. Are you? Noah took a second. Then he said, no. It was the first answer he gave that did not ask permission from anyone absent. Mercer stood. I'll speak to Mr. Voss. Noah reached for his phone, then stopped. Do I get that back? In a minute. I need copies completed. Noah nodded. When Mercer left, the room seemed to breathe again. Patel leaned against the wall, arms crossed, trying to look casual and failing. Noah looked at him. Is there really a cab form? Patel said. There will be by the time I'm done making one. Noah laughed. Not much. Enough. In the lobby, Richard Voss was standing too close to Director Shaw. He had mastered the art of making aggression look like concern. My understanding, he was saying, is that a young man who arrived with my daughter's group is now being isolated by park staff after giving a statement that contradicts the young women involved. I'd like to know whether that is standard procedure. Claire stood behind him, phone held down but ready. Sienna was beside her. Brett had disappeared outside, probably because rooms with consequences bored him. Tara sat on the bench, hands folded, staring at nothing. Officer Mercer entered quietly. Richard Voss turned toward him with relief he mistook for control. Officer, good. Perhaps you can clarify why Noah Reyes is being kept from leaving. He is not being kept from leaving, Mercer said. Then where is he? Providing additional information voluntarily. Claire's expression sharpened. What information? Mercer looked at her. Information. Sienna stepped forward. If this involves private group communications, there are consent issues. Mercer's gaze moved to her. That may be a conversation for later. That's not an answer. No, Mercer said. It's a boundary. For a moment, Sienna looked genuinely offended. Boundaries, Malcolm had noticed. Confused people who were used to weaponizing them. Richard Voss lowered his voice. "Officer, I think we all need to remember the original issue here. My daughter felt unsafe." Mercer did not blink. "Your daughter also appears to have participated in posting a misleading video of a public employee after a safety warning." Claire's mouth opened. "Misleading? Yes. My video is real. I didn't say it was fake. Then, I said it was misleading." The lobby went quiet. Even the front desk clerk stopped pretending to sort parking passes. Richard Voss's tone cooled. "That sounds like a conclusion. It's an observation based on footage and statements under review." "Statements from whom?" Mercer did not answer. Claire looked toward the side hallway. "Noah," she said under her breath. Tara closed her eyes. Malcolm was not in the lobby, but he heard about this part later from Patel, who wrote it down because Malcolm had told him not to soften language. He would learn that Claire took one step toward the side room before Hollis blocked her path. He would learn that Sienna said this was becoming coercive. He would learn that Richard Voss asked Director Shaw whether the park wanted to alienate families who had supported it for years. He would learn that Director Shaw finally said, "Support does not purchase control of an investigation." And he would learn that after she said it, she looked surprised by her own voice. In the medical office, Malcolm heard only pieces, raised voices. Mercer's lower one. Hollis saying, "Back up." Claire saying, "He's lying because he feels guilty." Then Noah's voice. Not loud, but clear enough to reach down the hallway. "I'm not lying." Malcolm stood. He did not go to the door. He wanted to. He did not. This was Noah's sentence. Noah had to own it, without being rescued from it. In the lobby, Noah stood at the edge of the side hallway, with Patel behind him, and the cracked phone in his hand. His face was pale. His shoulders were not square. His voice still shook, but he was there. Claire looked at him like he had become someone she did not remember inviting. "Noah," she said. "You're confused." "No," he said. Brett had returned now, hovering by the front doors. Sienna's face had gone still. Richard Voss watched Noah with a polished patience that frightened him more than Brett's insults. Noah looked at all of them, then at Tara. Tara was crying silently. That nearly stopped him. Because Tara had not been the worst of them. Because truth had a way of hurting people standing near the guilty. But then Tara opened her eyes and gave him the smallest nod. Almost nothing. Enough. Noah looked back at Mercer. "She told me to shut up because I said he was just warning us," he said. Brett made it sound sexual. Sienna told Claire not to post the whole clip. Claire grabbed his sleeve before he yelled. "I said that yesterday. I'm saying it again." Claire's eyes filled with tears. This time they might have been real. Not because she was sorry, because the world had refused to remain edited. "Noah," she whispered. He flinched at his own name in her mouth. Then he said the thing he had not been able to say at the beach. "Stop telling me to shut up." No one moved. The front doors opened behind Brett, letting in lake air and the smell of hot pavement. A family stepped inside, saw the lobby, and stepped quietly back out. Mercer turned to Director Shaw. "I want all involved parties separated until I finish supplemental notes." Richard Voss began. "My daughter can wait," Mercer said. It was not loud. It ended the sentence anyway. Claire looked at her father. For the first time, he did not immediately give her an answer. That was how power began to fail in public. Not with collapse, with delay. Noah turned away before anyone could speak to him again. As he passed the medical office door, he stopped. Malcolm was standing inside, beside the desk, rescue kit in one hand. They looked at each other. Noah's mouth opened. No apology came. Maybe because there were too many things to apologize for. Maybe because Malcolm did not need one in the hallway. Malcolm gave him a small nod. Not forgiveness. Recognition. Noah held onto it like a rail. Then he kept walking. By noon, the park had 3 things it had not had that morning. A signed witness statement from inside Claire's group. Screenshots showing the video had been intentionally cut. And a reopened file from last August sitting on Officer Mercer's desk. The file was thin. Too thin. That was the first thing Mercer noticed. The official report from last summer described the North Dock rescue in careful administrative language. Minor male submerged approximately 45 seconds. Bystanders alerted park staff. Park medical responder assisted extraction and initiated airway support. Subject regained spontaneous breathing prior to EMS transfer. No full name of responder in summary. No description of the man who had gone into the water before the rescue boat reached the dock. No mention of the father on his knees. No mention of a boy coughing lake water into the sand. No mention of the green dinosaur sticker, later placed on the responder's kit, by a child still shaking under a foil blanket. Mercer sat in the records office and read the report twice. Then he opened the attached incident photo. It was blurry, taken after the ambulance had arrived. A corner of the rescue kit was visible near the dock. Red fabric faded pink. White cross. Green sticker. One horn already scratched. Mercer leaned back in his chair. For a few seconds, he was not Officer Mercer. He was Daniel, wet to the elbows, hands on his son's shoulders, saying Leo's name too many times because if he stopped saying it, the boy might leave again. He remembered the responder's voice. Low, direct, calm enough to obey. Turn him on his side, let him cough. Do not put your fingers in his mouth. Look at me, Dad, he's breathing. At the time, Mercer had looked at the boy, only the boy. Of course he had. A parent's gratitude could be enormous, and still fail to see the whole person who earned it. Now, on the laptop screen, the rescue kit sat in the corner of the frame like a witness that had been waiting a year. Mercer closed the file carefully. Then he stood. In the hallway, the noise of the building seemed different. Not louder, clearer. He walked toward the medical office. Malcolm was restocking gauze. Not because it needed restocking, because his hands needed something honest to do. Mercer stopped at the doorway. Mr. Hayes. Malcolm looked up. The officer held the folder at his side. Behind him, down the hall, Claire's voice rose again in protest over something smaller now. A phone call. A delay. A copy she could not get. The old fight losing size as the larger truth approached. Mercer stepped into the room. His eyes went to the rescue kit. The green dinosaur. Then to Malcolm. This time there was no almost recognition. There was only recognition. But he did not say it yet. Not in the doorway. Not as a burst of emotion anyone could turn into spectacle. He looked at the medical office, the supply shelves, the incident binder, the man who had been moved out of sight while the people who lied about him occupied the lobby. Then he said, very quietly, "We need to talk about North Dock." Malcolm's hand stilled on the gauze packet. Outside, the lake wind pushed against the building. On the desk, the radio crackled once and went silent. The truth had reached the door. It had not entered yet. Officer Mercer did not say his son's name in the medical office. Not yet. He stood just inside the doorway with the August file in one hand and the weight of recognition held carefully behind his eyes. Behind him, the hallway carried the low friction of the day. Phones ringing, a printer coughing out paper, Claire's voice rising and falling in controlled outrage. Ranger Hollis telling someone to wait in the lobby. Malcolm looked at the folder, then at Mercer. The gauze packet in his hand stayed half open. "We need to talk about North Dock," Mercer said. Malcolm set the gauze down. He did it slowly, not because he needed the time, but because some memories deserved not to be grabbed too quickly. "What about it?" Mercer stepped fully into the room and closed the door behind him. The click was soft. It changed the office. The medical room was too small for history. It was built for splinters, heat exhaustion, bee stings, scraped knees, lost inhalers, and ordinary summer damage. Not for the moment when a man realized the stranger sitting in front of him had once held his child between life and death. Mercer placed the file on the desk. He did not open it right away. "Last August," he said. "North Dock. Male child submerged near the rental lane. 7 years old." Malcolm's face did not change. But his hand moved. Not to the file. To the rescue kit strap. Mercer saw it. He saw the sticker too. The green triceratops, crooked above the white cross. One horn scratched pale from a year of use. "My son put that there," Mercer said. The sentence entered the room quietly. It did not ask permission. Malcolm looked down at the sticker, then back at Mercer. "Leo," he said. Mercer inhaled once. Not sharply. Worse. Like a man trying not to make a sound in front of someone who had already seen him at his most helpless. "You remember his name?" He asked if the dinosaur could guard the medicine. Mercer's jaw tightened. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Outside the office, someone laughed in the lobby. The sound was wrong for the room, but the world often failed to adjust itself around grief. Mercer opened the file and took out the incident photo. He turned it toward Malcolm. The image was blurry. Ambulance lights washed one side of the dock in red. A foil blanket caught a hard flash of sun. At the edge of the frame, barely centered, Malcolm's rescue kit sat open on the planks. The sticker was visible, small, absurd, alive. "I didn't know your name," Mercer said. "You had other things to know." "That doesn't excuse it." Malcolm did not answer. Mercer looked at the photo for another second before setting it down. "I remember your voice," he said. "That's what came back first. Not your face, not the uniform, your voice." Malcolm's eyes stayed on the desk. Mercer continued, quieter. "You told me to look at you. You told me he was breathing. I was kneeling right there and I couldn't see it. I couldn't see anything except the water coming out of his mouth." Malcolm's hand closed once around the kit strap, then opened. "He was breathing. I know." Mercer looked at him. "I know because of you." The room held the sentence. Malcolm did not take it like praise. He took it like an object too heavy to hold for long. So he set it down where he always set things like that, back into the work. "What happens with the complaint?" he asked. Mercer almost smiled, not because anything was funny, because he understood the refusal. "Now," he said, "we put the whole sequence where it belongs." He gathered the file and opened the door. In the hallway, the noise returned too quickly. Claire was near the lobby windows, speaking to someone on the phone with her back to the room. Brett sat on the arm of a chair, despite the sign asking visitors not to. Sienna stood beside the bulletin board, reading posted policy as if looking for a weakness. Richard Voss was speaking low to Director Shaw, one hand in his pocket, his face arranged into patience that had already expired. Noah sat alone on the bench near the vending machine. Patel had found him a bottle of water. He had not opened it. When Malcolm and Mercer stepped out of the medical office together, the lobby changed. Not dramatically. No one gasped. No one moved all at once. But attention shifted. That invisible current Malcolm had learned to feel before he could name it. Claire turned from the window. Richard Voss stopped mid-sentence. Sienna's eyes moved to the folder in Mercer's hand. Brett sat up a little. Noah looked at Malcolm first, then at the rescue kit, then down again. Director Shaw looked at Mercer. "Officer, we need to review the footage with all involved parties present," Mercer said. Richard Voss straightened. "Is that necessary?" "Yes." "Why?" Mercer met his eyes. "Because everyone keeps describing a different lake. The conference room was larger than the medical office, but it became smaller when everyone entered." Claire sat beside her father this time. Sienna sat on her other side, phone face down on the table but under her hand. Brett took the chair farthest from Malcolm and closest to the door. Tara sat near the corner. Noah was placed beside Patel, not beside the group. That mattered. It showed on Claire's face. Malcolm sat at the table with Ranger Hollis to his left. His rescue kit rested on the floor by his chair. The dinosaur sticker faced outward, still meaningless to most of them. Director Shaw stood near the laptop. Elise dimmed the lights. The paused image appeared on the screen. South Rental shoreline. Bright sand. 5 young people. One black responder walking toward them with a red rescue kit over his shoulder. No sound at first, just distance. A high, wide, indifferent angle. Nobody looked good from that camera. That was its honesty. Mercer stood beside the screen. "This is tower footage beginning at 11:42 a.m. The viral clip begins approximately 6 minutes later. Claire folded her arms. Brett whispered something under his breath. Mercer looked at him. Brett stopped. The video played. Malcolm appeared small on the screen, moving down the sand. He stopped a respectful distance from the group. His hands were visible. His posture was still. Noah lifted the blue life jacket almost immediately. Tara pulled the paddleboard toward shore. Sienna looked at the screen without blinking. Claire looked at the table. The audio was thin, mostly wind and lake noise, but some words came through. "Just a quick safety reminder. Wear the life jacket or have it strapped to the board. Rangers are checking today. I don't want you getting fined." The room did not move, but the first version of the story began to die. Not with drama, with sequence. Mercer paused the video. "This is the first contact?" Claire said nothing. Sienna answered. "According to that angle?" Mercer looked at her. "Do you have another angle showing earlier contact?" "No." He let the word sit. Then he played the footage again. They watched Claire resist. They watched Malcolm show the laminated card. They watched Sienna take out her phone and look up the rule. They watched Noah try to speak and Brett cut him off. The tower audio caught only pieces. "Claire, he's just..." "Noah, shut up." Noah's face tightened in the real room. He kept his eyes on the screen anyway. The footage continued. Brett leaned in. The tower camera did not catch every word, but the rental shed audio did. Elise switched files. The new angle was lower, half blocked by stacked paddleboards, but the sound was clearer. "Bro just wanted an excuse to talk to you." A few people in the room shifted. Tara looked down. Brett's face flushed. It was a joke. No one asked him to explain why it was funny. That was the mercy the room did not give him. The clip kept playing. Claire raised her phone. Noah said, "Claire, don't." She did not look at him. Malcolm's voice came through, low and even. "I came over because your boards didn't have visible life jackets." Visible. He's got a whole script. "Claire, can I get your name?" "Malcolm Hayes." Park Medical response. Sienna looked smaller in the dim light, not ashamed yet, but aware of being recorded by something she had not controlled. The footage moved forward. Claire stepped closer. Malcolm stepped back. The camera caught the space clearly. He did not crowd her. He did not block her. He did not reach for her phone. Then Claire said, "I don't feel comfortable with you standing this close to me." On screen, Malcolm took another measured step back. "Then I'll give you space. The rule still applies." Mercer paused it there. The room understood the pause without being told. Claire had said she felt unsafe. Malcolm had moved away. The rule had remained. Richard Voss leaned forward. Feeling unsafe is not disproven by distance. Mercer looked at him. "No. But distance is relevant when the allegation says he refused to back away." Richard's mouth closed. The video resumed. The paddleboard drifted. Malcolm pointed it out. Brett mocked him. Noah pulled the board back. Claire turned on Noah. "Noah, stop making this look like he's right." Elise lowered her eyes. Director Shaw looked toward the wall as if the paint had become interesting. Noah's hands were in fists under the table. Then came the part everyone had been waiting for. Claire moved around Malcolm. Her hand closed on his sleeve near the elbow. The room watched the pull. It was not violent. It did not need to be. It was clear. Her hand, his sleeve. His body moved half a step because she moved him. Mercer paused the frame. For a second, Claire's hand remained frozen on screen. No one could edit it. No one could caption it away. The room did what rooms do when denial runs out of places to stand. It went still. Mercer looked at Claire. "Is that your hand on Mr. Hayes?" Claire's voice was smaller than before. "I was trying to show him, is that your hand on Mr. Hayes?" She looked at her father. He did not answer for her. "Yes." Mercer nodded once. "Thank you." He played the next 2 seconds. Malcolm's voice rose. "Do not touch me." Then Claire let go. Only then. Mercer paused the footage again. "That is the line used in the viral post," he said. The post begins after the physical contact and removes the safety warning, the rule verification, the compliance by other members of the group, the sexualized remarks made by Mr. Langford, and the contact by Ms. Voss. Claire's eyes filled. This time, no one rushed to meet the tears. Sienna said, too quickly, "The post may have been incomplete, but that does not mean Claire fabricated how she felt." "No one is investigating her feelings," Mercer said. "We are documenting her actions." The sentence landed hard. Claire looked down at her lap. Brett muttered, "This is getting so blown out of proportion." Hollis turned his head slowly. Brett seemed to realize, at last, that not every room would laugh with him. Mercer nodded to Elise. She opened the next file. The group chat screenshots appeared on the screen. A different silence entered the room. The first image showed Sienna's text. "Don't post the first part. It shows the law thing." Then Brett, post him yelling, "Lol Claire. I'm making it about him being creepy BC." That's what it felt like. Sienna, say uncomfortable, not creepy. It sounds more official. Brett, nah, creep gets clicks. Nobody breathed loudly. Noah stared at the table. This was not footage anymore. This was intention. Claire whispered, "I was upset." Mercer looked at the screen. "I believe you were." That almost saved her. Then he added, "Upset is not the same as honest." Claire's tears spilled then, quietly. Not beautifully, just human and late. Richard Voss stood. "Enough. My daughter is being humiliated." The words moved through the conference room and struck something old. Malcolm looked up. For the first time since the meeting began, he looked directly at Richard Voss. Not Claire. Her father. Richard had the stunned anger of someone seeing his child lose control of the room and mistaking consequence for cruelty. Mercer turned to him. "She is being shown evidence. She is 19 years old. So is Mr. Reyes," Mercer said. That did not stop several people in this room from pressuring him. Richard glanced toward Noah. Noah did not look away this time. It cost him. Anyone watching could see it, but he did not look away. Director Shaw stepped forward before Richard could reply. "Mr. Voss, please sit down." He stared at her. The donor plaque was not in this room. That helped. After a long moment he sat. Elise closed the chat screenshots. Mercer did not move to the next file. Instead, he reached for the folder he had brought from records. August. Malcolm knew it before the tab became visible. His body knew it. His hand went to the rescue kit strap again. Mercer noticed. So did Hollis. So did Director Shaw. Claire did not. She was wiping her face, trying to collect herself into someone wronged enough to survive the evidence. Mercer placed the folder on the table. I need to add context to why this complaint matters beyond yesterday's shoreline contact, he said. Malcolm's voice was quiet. Officer. Mercer looked at him. There was a request in that one word. Not denial. Protection. Mercer understood. He did not open the folder right away. Mr. Hayes, he said, I won't use anything you ask me not to use unless it is necessary to the investigation. Malcolm looked at the closed file. The room waited. He could refuse. Maybe. He could keep last August where it had been, in a card behind a recertification notice, in a sticker on a kit, in a boy's memory, in a father's private gratitude. But Claire had made yesterday public. Her group had taken his face, cut his voice, and handed a lie to strangers. The park had moved him from the shoreline because a false story traveled faster than its own cameras. Noah had risked his ride home. Patel had put words in a report that could irritate donors. Hollis had backed him before the room was safe. Truth, Malcolm knew, did not belong only to the person tired of carrying it. Sometimes it belonged to the next person who would be left standing on the sand alone. He released the strap. If it's relevant, he said. Mercer held his gaze for 1 second. Then he opened the file. The incident photo appeared first. He passed a printed copy to Director Shaw, then to Hollis, then placed one in the center of the table. North Dock, ambulance light, foil blanket, open rescue kit, green dinosaur sticker. Claire looked at it, confused. What is this? Mercer did not answer her first. He looked at Malcolm. Then he looked at the room. Last August, my son Leo went under near North Dock. The room changed, not loudly, no gasp, no dramatic music, just a collective adjustment, as everyone realized the officer was no longer speaking as only an officer. He was 7, Mercer continued. He slipped from a rental board during a family event. He had a life jacket on, but it was not properly secured. The strap rode up. He panicked. By the time I reached the dock, he was under. Claire stopped crying. Sienna's hand moved away from her phone. Brett looked at the floor. Mercer's voice stayed controlled. That report says Park Medical Response assisted extraction and initiated airway support. He touched the paper. That is accurate. It is also incomplete. No one spoke. Mercer looked at Malcolm. Mr. Hayes was the responder. Malcolm looked at the table. Not ashamed, not proud, simply unwilling to turn a child's worst day into his own defense, unless the room forced it to be necessary. Mercer continued. He entered the water before the rescue boat reached the dock. He brought my son up. He cleared his airway. He kept me from making things worse because I was too scared to think. My son was breathing when EMS took over because this man did not ignore a safety problem at this lake. The room held still around him. Mercer's voice did not break. That was why the next sentence did. Leo put that sticker on his kit before we left. Every eye moved to the rescue kit. The green dinosaur sat there, crooked and ridiculous, and suddenly heavier than every phone in the room. Claire stared at it, not like it accused her. Worse. Like it existed without needing her to believe in it. Tara covered her mouth. Noah looked at Malcolm with something close to grief. Director Shaw looked as if she had been handed the full weight of every clean phrase she had used to make yesterday smaller. Richard Voss said nothing. For the first time all morning, he seemed unable to find a sentence that knew where to stand. Mercer closed the folder. I am not bringing this up because a prior rescue makes Mr. Hayes incapable of misconduct, he said. No one gets automatic sainthood because they did something right before. Malcolm looked up at that. Good, that was important. Mercer continued. I am bringing it up because the complaint alleges that a safety warning was a pretext for predatory behavior. The evidence shows the warning was consistent with his duties, consistent with the law, consistent with prior safety concerns at this lake, and consistent with the exact kind of prevention that kept my child alive. The sentence did not need volume. It had structure. That was stronger. Claire whispered, I didn't know. The room did not rush to absolve her. Malcolm looked at her then. Only then. You didn't need to know who I was, he said. His voice was low. Everyone heard it. You needed to know the rule applied to you. No one moved. It was not a speech. It did not give them enough language to hide inside. Claire looked down. Sienna's face had lost color. Brett swallowed, loud in the silence. Richard Voss stared at Malcolm, and something like recognition moved across his face too, though not the same kind. Not gratitude. Not yet. Perhaps the first unwilling awareness that his daughter's comfort had nearly become another man's ruin. Director Shaw closed her eyes. When she opened them, she looked older. "Malcolm," she said. He turned toward her. "I should not have removed you from shoreline enforcement." The apology surprised the room by arriving plainly. No polish, no committee language. Malcolm did not answer immediately. Then he said, "No, you shouldn't have. Shaw accepted it. That mattered. Not enough. But it mattered." Mercer gathered the footage notes. "Based on what I've reviewed, the harassment allegation against Mr. Hayes is not supported by the evidence. There may be park violations and potential issues related to interference with staff duties, physical contact, and the knowingly misleading public post." Sienna sat up. Knowingly misleading is a strong phrase. Mercer looked at the chat screenshot still minimized on the laptop. "Yes." Sienna did not continue. Brett said, "So what? We're criminals now?" Hollis answered before Mercer could. "No. You're accountable. I can see how that's unfamiliar." Patel coughed once into his hand. It might have been a laugh. Noah's mouth twitched and disappeared. Claire turned toward Malcolm. Her lips parted. For a second, everyone thought she might apologize. Instead, she said, "I didn't mean for people to threaten you. That was not an apology. It was a report about intention." Malcolm looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "But you gave them my face." Claire looked away. That was answer enough. Richard Voss put a hand on his daughter's shoulder, but the gesture had changed. It no longer looked like command. It looked like a man reaching for control and finding only consequence. Director Shaw stood. "Elise," she said, "draft a holding statement. It will say the park has reviewed preliminary footage, and the viral caption does not reflect the full incident. It will state that the staff member followed safety protocol. Do not name Malcolm unless he consents. Do not name the guests." Elise nodded, already writing. Shaw turned to Hollis. "All shoreline warnings are two-person until new protocol is written." "They already are today," Hollis said. "I know. Make it official." Then Shaw looked at Malcolm. "And you return to full duty only if you choose to." The room waited for his answer. Malcolm looked toward the window. Beyond the glass, the lake was bright, careless, beautiful, still capable of killing someone before lunch. He looked at the rescue kit, at the dinosaur, at Mercer, who had not looked away since saying his son's name, at Noah, who had lost a ride and found a voice. Then at Shaw. "I'll finish the shift," he said, "but not alone." Shaw nodded. Not alone. The words were small. The change inside them was not. Claire and her group were told to remain available while citations and park actions were reviewed. Their boards were pulled from rental clearance. Their access for the day was suspended pending final decision. Richard Voss objected once. Mercer told him the objection was noted. That was all the room gave him. Noah was allowed to leave through the side entrance with Patel arranging transportation. Before he left, he stopped by Malcolm's chair. The room was still occupied, still watching in fragments, but the worst of its appetite had been broken. Noah held his cracked phone in one hand. His other hand was empty now. No life jacket strap. Nothing to twist. "I'm sorry," he said. This time the words came. Malcolm looked at him. "For what?" Noah blinked. "For not saying it sooner." Malcolm did not soften the truth for him. "You should have." Noah's face tightened. Then Malcolm added, "You said it when it counted." Noah nodded once. It did not erase the shame. It gave it somewhere to go. As Noah turned to leave, Claire watched him from across the room. She looked like she wanted to call him back. She did not. Maybe because her father was there. Maybe because Officer Mercer was there. Maybe because, for the first time, telling Noah to shut up would not make him smaller. After Noah left, Mercer picked up the North Dock file. He paused beside Malcolm's chair. There was something he wanted to say. A father thing. A police thing. A thank you that had waited too long and now had to cross too much public ground. Malcolm saw all of it and spared him the performance. "How is Leo?" he asked. Mercer's eyes changed. "He swims now," he said. Malcolm nodded. "Good. He wears the jacket tight." "Better." A faint smile moved across Mercer's face and vanished. "He still talks about the dinosaur." Malcolm looked down at the sticker. The scratched horn. The lifted edge pressed flat by his thumb so many times it had become part of the kit. "Tell him it's still guarding the medicine," Malcolm said. Mercer swallowed. "I will." That was as much as the room could hold. Outside, near the rental shoreline, a whistle blew. Not alarm. Instruction. A ranger's voice carried faintly through the open window. Life jackets on or secured before launch. This time, 2 staff members stood together while they said it. This time, nobody stood alone on the sand. Not yet a policy, not yet a reform, but the first shape of one. Malcolm picked up the rescue kit. The green dinosaur faced outward as he walked back toward the shoreline, and the people in the hallway moved aside. Not dramatically, not with applause. Just enough. Sometimes dignity returned that way, not as a parade, as space. The park's public statement went out at 3:17 p.m. It did not name Malcolm. It did not name Claire. It did not use the words viral, false, racist, sexist, rich, poor, or harassment. Institutions had a way of walking around fire with polished shoes, but it said enough. Preliminary review of full park footage shows that the staff member involved was conducting a lawful water safety contact regarding personal flotation device requirements. It said the viral post did not reflect the full sequence of events. It said the park was reviewing guest conduct related to interference with staff duties, physical contact during an active safety interaction, and misuse of recorded material in a manner that contributed to targeted harassment. It said all shoreline safety contacts would now be conducted under updated staff support procedures. It said water safety rules existed because preventable accidents had happened at the lake before. That last sentence had not been in Elise's first draft. Director Shaw added it herself. She stood over the communications desk with one hand on the back of a chair and read the statement twice before approving it. Then she looked through the glass wall toward the hallway, where Malcolm was restocking cold packs as if the whole park had not spent 2 days trying to decide whether his restraint was enough to save him. "Post it," she said. Elise did. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then everything did. The official account lit up. Comments came first, then shares. Then local pages that had run Claire's clip without context began attaching the park's statement underneath their own posts, with language that sounded almost like regret if no one listened too closely. New footage was not released publicly, but enough people had seen enough things by then. Witnesses from the beach began writing their own small corrections. I was there, he was calm, she grabbed him first. The video starts late. The guy was literally just talking about life jackets. One mother wrote a paragraph longer than anyone expected. She wrote that her child had asked why the woman grabbed the responder if she was scared. She wrote that she should have spoken up sooner. She wrote that silence helped the wrong person. Malcolm read none of it, not that afternoon, not while wearing the uniform. He returned to the shoreline with Ranger Hollis beside him, and Patel 10 steps behind, checking PFD tags on rental boards. Every board going out had to pass a visible check. Every guest heard the rule before touching the water. Every warning was logged by 2 staff members. Some visitors complained, some rolled their eyes. Most complied. That was usually how safety worked. People resented it most before it saved them. At 4:06 p.m., a father with 2 children tried to launch a paddleboard with one life jacket sitting loose on top. Malcolm approached with Hollis. The father looked at Malcolm's uniform, then at Hollis's ranger badge, then back at Malcolm. "What now?" the man said. "Life jacket needs to be worn or secured to the board," Malcolm said. His voice was the same as yesterday. That mattered. The father started to argue, then glanced over Malcolm's shoulder and saw the ranger standing there, not impatient, not aggressive, just present. The argument died in his mouth. "Fine," the man said. His daughter, maybe 8, put hers on without being asked. "It's itchy," she complained. Malcolm crouched beside her and adjusted the shoulder strap so it sat flat. "It's supposed to be snug," he said. "Not mean." She considered that, then nodded, as if snug and mean were categories worth separating. Hollis looked out at the lake. The wind had shifted again. It always did. Across the parking lot, Claire Voss sat in her father's SUV, while Officer Mercer and Director Shaw reviewed the final park actions with Richard Voss outside the driver's door. There was no dragging, no spectacle, no satisfying public collapse. Just paperwork, which was sometimes colder. Claire's group received citations for launching preparation without required PFD compliance and for refusal to follow safety staff instructions. Claire received an additional citation for physical interference with a staff member during an active safety contact. The park issued a seasonal ban for Claire and Brett based on staff harassment, disruption, and refusal to comply with ranger direction. Sienna received a formal warning and referral to the park board's conduct review because of her role in drafting and encouraging the misleading complaint language. Tara was not banned, but her rental privileges were suspended for 30 days. The online post was removed after a notice from the park, and a call no one admitted had come from Richard Voss's attorney. That was not justice. Not fully. Posts never vanished completely. Screenshots kept breathing in stranger places. Some people would always prefer the first lie because it had reached them with music. but the official record changed. That mattered more than applause. Officer Mercer stood with the citation folder under one arm, speaking to Richard Voss in the flat tone of a man who had already decided not to be impressed. "Your daughter is not being arrested," Mercer said. "She is being cited and barred from park property for the remainder of the season. Any further contact with Mr. Hayes, direct or online, may create additional issues." Richard's face was pale with controlled anger. "This is excessive." "No," Mercer said. "It is documented." Claire sat behind the windshield, eyes red, phone turned off in her lap. For once, nobody was recording her. That seemed to frighten her more than being watched. Sienna stood near the curb with her arms crossed, no longer speaking in statutes. Brett paced behind the SUV, furious that consequences had turned out to be boring and procedural. Tara sat on a low stone wall, crying quietly into her hands. Noah was not with them. He had left 2 hours earlier in a park-arranged cab, paid for from an emergency staff fund that Director Shaw discovered only after Patel threatened to pay for it himself and ask reimbursement until someone got tired of reading his emails. Before Noah left, he had given one final written statement. This time, he did not stop halfway. This time, he did not ask whether anyone would still invite him anywhere. He signed his name, folded his hands in his lap, and looked at Officer Mercer when he said, "I should have spoken at the beach." Mercer had answered, "Yes." Then, after a pause, "And you spoke here." Noah had carried both sentences with him. Outside the park, in the back seat of the cab, his phone kept buzzing until he turned it off. His mother met him outside the hotel where she worked, still in her housekeeping uniform, hairnet tucked into one pocket, worry sharpened into anger before she even reached the curb. He thought she would ask what he had done. Instead, she took his face in both hands and said, "Did they leave you there?" That was when he cried. Not at the park, not in front of Claire, not in the room where he signed the statement. There, on the curb, beside a hotel laundry cart, because his mother understood the wound before he explained the incident. Back at the lake, Director Shaw watched the Voss SUV leave. Richard drove. Claire sat beside him, turned toward the window. Brett and Sienna followed in a separate car driven by Sienna, both silent. Tara waited for her parents near the visitor center. The vehicles passed the donor plaque at the entrance without stopping. Shaw stood beside Officer Mercer until the last car disappeared down the road. Then she said, "I thought I was protecting the park." Mercer looked toward the water. "You were protecting the park's comfort." She took that in. It was not gentle. It was not meant to be. "No," she said after a moment. "I was protecting my own." Mercer turned slightly. Shaw watched Malcolm at the shoreline, where he was showing a child how to clip a whistle to the front of a life jacket. "I asked him to enforce rules," she said. "Then the first time someone powerful disliked it, I moved him out of sight." Mercer did not absolve her. That was not his job. Shaw looked at him. "Your son is all right?" A small silence passed before he answered. "He is. I'm glad. So am I." She nodded. Then she walked back toward administration. By the next morning, the first draft of the new water safety protocol was already on the conference room table. Not a memo, not a statement, a protocol. Hollis had written the blunt version in pencil on yellow legal paper before administration arrived. No solo safety contacts for high-risk water violations. PFD check before rental release. Body log or camera confirmation for escalated guest contact. Staff may request ranger presence without management approval. Guest recording allowed only if it does not obstruct safety duties or become targeted harassment. False or misleading public posts involving staff may trigger park sanctions. Director Shaw rewrote it into policy language. Then, to her credit, she put most of Hollis's words back in. By the end of the week, the park had installed a temporary life jacket loan station beside the south rental shoreline. It was not beautiful. 2 metal racks, a weatherproof sign, a checkout clipboard inside a plastic box, bright orange, blue, and yellow jackets sorted by size, a laminated sheet showing how straps should sit on a child, an adult, a paddleboarder, a weak swimmer, someone nervous, someone pretending not to be nervous. At the bottom of the sign, Shaw added one line. "A safety warning is not an accusation. It is a chance to come home." The line was almost too clean. Almost. Malcolm allowed it because it was true. The permanent station would take longer. Budget approval, board vote, vendor quotes, donor conversations that would now be less comfortable than before. But the temporary racks stood there within 3 days. And 3 days was faster than anyone expected a system to move without a lawsuit pulling it by the collar. Patel laminated the first sign badly. Air bubbles caught under the plastic. Hollis pointed them out. Patel said, "It gives it texture." Hollis said, "It gives it failure." Malcolm fixed it himself. On Friday, Noah came back. Not with Claire. Not with anyone. He arrived on the county bus, wearing the same faded t-shirt from the day of the incident, and carrying a backpack with one repaired zipper. He stood near the visitor center for nearly 10 minutes before walking toward the rental shoreline. Malcolm saw him before Noah saw Malcolm. That was how it usually worked. Noah stopped beside the new life jacket station and looked at the rows of PFDs like they were evidence from another life. "You don't have to be here," Malcolm said. Noah turned. "I know." Malcolm waited. Noah adjusted one strap hanging crooked from the rack. Patel said they needed volunteers for the weekend rush. He shouldn't have pressured you. He didn't. Noah looked down. "He said I could if I wanted to." "And you wanted to?" Noah looked toward the water. A paddleboard moved near the swim boundary. The rider was clumsy, but wearing a life jacket properly tightened. A ranger boat crossed beyond the buoys. The lake looked ordinary again, which was to say dangerous in ways most people would not respect until too late. "I don't know," Noah said. "I think I wanted to do one thing that didn't feel like just fixing what I helped break." Malcolm considered that. Then he handed Noah a clipboard. "Start with sizes. Kids' jackets on the left, adult small and medium in the middle, XL on the right. If anyone argues, call me or a ranger. Don't argue alone." Noah took the clipboard. His hand shook only a little. "Okay." Malcolm looked at him. "And Noah? Yeah? You don't earn your way out of shame in one afternoon." Noah's face tightened. "Not because it was cruel, because it was accurate." Malcolm continued. "You just keep choosing better until shame stops being the only thing that knows your name." Noah looked at the clipboard, then nodded. No speech. No clean forgiveness, just work. By noon, he had fitted 4 children, 2 teenagers, 1 nervous grandmother, and a man who insisted he had been swimming since before Noah was born, but still let the boy tighten the strap after Hollis looked at him. At 1:30, Tara Whitcomb came to the station. She came alone. No makeup, no beach bag. Hair tied back. A paper cup of coffee in both hands like an offering she had not decided to give. Noah saw her and went still. Malcolm stayed near the rental shed, close enough to help, far enough not to take the moment from him. Tara stopped in front of the rack. "Hey," she said. Noah looked at the clipboard. "Hey." She held out the coffee. He did not take it. Her hand lowered. "I'm sorry," she said. Noah did not answer. Tara looked toward the lake, then back at him. "I should have backed you up sooner." "Yes," Noah said. She flinched, then nodded. "I know. That was all." Noah took the coffee after a moment, not because everything was repaired, but because refusing it would have made the apology bigger than it deserved to be. Tara helped restock the children's jackets for 20 minutes. Then she left. Not redeemed, not condemned. Changed a little. Sometimes that was the only honest version. On Sunday morning, Officer Mercer came to the lake in civilian clothes. He was not alone. A boy walked beside him with a careful step, like a child who had once learned that ground was more trustworthy than water, but had agreed to try again. He had dark curls, serious eyes, and a bright orange life jacket already clipped over his t-shirt. The straps were snug, not mean. Malcolm was checking the lone station log when he heard the boy say, "Dad, that's him." He looked up. Mercer stopped a few feet away. For once, the officer did not look like an officer at all. He looked like a father carrying gratitude badly, because both hands were occupied keeping his child from the edge of memory. Leo Mercer stared at the rescue kit, then at the sticker. His face changed. "That's my dinosaur," he said. Malcolm looked down at the green triceratops. "It is. It stayed? It had a job." Leo stepped closer. Mercer's hand hovered near his shoulder but did not stop him. The boy touched the sticker with one finger, careful around the scratched horn. "It got old," Leo said. "Most working things do." Leo considered that with the seriousness of children who understand more than adults want them to. "Does it still guard the medicine?" Malcolm nodded. "Every shift." Leo smiled then. Small, private. Enough. Mercer looked away toward the water. His jaw moved once. When he looked back, he held out his hand. Malcolm took it. This time, there were no ambulance lights. No wet dock. No boy coughing lake water onto wood. No father on his knees begging breath to return to a body too small for fear. Just a handshake beside a metal rack of life jackets. It was better that way. "Thank you," Mercer said. Malcolm held his gaze. "You already said that. Not correctly." The answer sat between them. Malcolm let it. Then he released the handshake. Leo tugged at his father's shirt. Can I go on the paddleboard now? Mercer looked at Malcolm before answering. Malcolm looked at the jacket straps, the weather, the rental zone, the flag near the ramp. Then he said, stay inside the buoys, knees first before standing. If the board turns sideways, don't fight it. And if your dad starts giving too many instructions, listen to the first 3. Leo grinned. Mercer said, that feels personal. It is. The boy laughed. That sound did something to the shoreline. Not because anyone else heard its history, because Malcolm did. Mercer and Leo walked toward the rental dock where Patel was doing the briefing with exaggerated seriousness and Hollis was pretending not to enjoy watching him. Noah handed Leo a smaller paddle. Life jacket looks good, Noah said. Leo looked down proudly. It's snug. Not mean? Leo nodded. Not mean. Noah glanced toward Malcolm. Malcolm gave him no praise. Only a nod. It was enough. Director Shaw arrived just before noon, carrying a folder and wearing shoes that did not belong on sand. She stood beside Malcolm near the loan station and watched families move through the new process. No speeches, no cameras, no ribbon. You were right, she said. Malcolm checked the clipboard. About which part? Her mouth tightened at the fairness of that question. About the system. He looked toward the rack of life jackets. A little girl was trying to choose between orange and blue. Her father looked impatient, then saw Hollis watching and became patient. Shaw followed his gaze. The board approved the temporary policy for the rest of the season, she said. Permanent version goes up next month. Staff support language stays. 2-person contacts stay. Rental release changes stay. Good. I also removed the donor family exception language from private event rentals. Malcolm looked at her then. She knew he understood what that meant. There had been rules for regular guests and softer arrangements for names on plaques. Not written that plainly. Never spoken that plainly. But real. They'll push back, he said. Yes. You ready for that? Shaw looked at the water. No, she said. Then after a moment, but I signed it. That was not enough to make her heroic. It was enough to make her useful. Malcolm accepted useful. Useful saved more people than heroic most days. Shaw handed him the folder. Inside was a copy of his incident report, Mercer's findings summary, Noah's witness statement, Patel's supplemental note, and a formal letter clearing him of misconduct. The letter was written in administration language. After review of available evidence, no violation of staff conduct policy was found. It was clean. It was important. It was nowhere near large enough. Malcolm read it once, then closed the folder. Thank you, he said. Shaw nodded. I'm sorry, she said. He looked at her. This apology was different from the one in the conference room. That one had come under the force of revelation. This one came beside the work after the revelation had cooled. That made it more useful. I believed the problem was how the park would look, she said. The problem was what we had trained people to survive alone. Malcolm did not answer quickly. Then he said, make sure it stays changed after people stop watching. She nodded. I will. He hoped she meant it. He believed she might. Those were different things, but both mattered. By late afternoon, the lake was full again. Not as full as last weekend. The story had scared some visitors away and drawn others in. People came looking for the place from the video, then found a clipboard, a ranger, a medical responder, and a line of children being told to tighten straps. Drama disappointed them. Procedure met them instead. That was a better ending than most people deserved. At 5:40, the orange flag near the boat ramp lifted in short, nervous jerks. Malcolm saw it, so did Noah, so did Patel. That was new. Noah pointed before Malcolm spoke. Wind's changing. Malcolm nodded. What do you do? Noah looked at the rental boards. Tell them knees first near the dock. No new launches past the yellow buoy unless Hollis clears it. Check loose jackets. Good. Noah walked to the rack. Not fast, not timid. Working. Malcolm stood for a moment and watched him. Then Leo's paddleboard wobbled inside the buoys. Mercer called something that sounded like 5 instructions at once. Leo ignored at least 3, remembered one, dropped to his knees, and steadied himself. He laughed again. The sound crossed the water. Malcolm looked down at the rescue kit. The dinosaur sticker had started to lift at one corner again. He pressed it flat with his thumb. A child approached the station with a life jacket held out in both hands. Is this too loose? She asked. Malcolm crouched. The girl's mother stood behind her, tired, distracted, grateful to have someone else know the answer. Malcolm tugged the strap gently. A little, he said. The girl frowned. Do I have to fix it? Yes. Why? He could have said because it was policy. He could have said because rangers check. He could have said because lake water does not care how good a swimmer you think you are. Instead, he adjusted the strap until it lay flat against her shoulder. Because you matter before something goes wrong, he said. The girl looked at him. Then at the lake. Then she nodded. No one applauded. No one filmed it, no one knew enough to make it a story. The girl ran back toward her family, jacket snug, not mean. Malcolm stood. Behind him, Noah restocked the small sizes. Patel logged the last rental. Hollis argued with a man who thought rules were suggestions until a ranger used a pen. Director Shaw watched from the path with a folder under her arm, not interfering. On the water, Leo Mercer paddled inside the buoys, bright jacket against the sun, his father standing at the edge with both hands open and empty. The lake moved like it always had, beautiful, indifferent, waiting. But the shoreline had changed, not enough to fix the world, enough to make one corner of it harder to lie about. Malcolm lifted the rescue kit onto his shoulder. The green dinosaur faced outward. He walked the sand slowly, eyes on the water, watching everything most people had come there not to see.